Douluo, after listening to the advice, I became a god. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101. I dare to drink water from the lake of life today. Looking into the distance, Feng saw a green ocean. The endless green in front looked so shocking, and the comfortable fresh air came from it. Finally, they came to the Xingdu Great Forest. The tall trees were at least more than 20 meters high. This was only the outermost part. There was no path in the dense forest. The shadows of the trees were so heavy that the real scene could not be seen. When they arrived in front of the forest, the air became more comfortable, as if the temperature had dropped a few degrees. The refreshing feeling with the moist soil fragrance constantly stimulated everyone's sense of smell. Before Feng entered the forest, he used Yan's ability and kept communicating with the blue-silver grass in the forest to send out the information he needed. After doing all this, Feng also heard Zhao Wuji's voice. Stop! Since Zhao Wuji was the strongest here, when he heard the news, he subconsciously turned around and looked at Zhao Wuji. Everyone stopped. The hundreds of miles of walking had made their bodies hot, especially Oscar and Ning Rongrong. As auxiliary soul masters, their physical fitness was not bad, but it was not comparable to Feng, Daimai and others. Oscar chanted his obscene spell in a low voice and handed each person a sausage. However, this time, seeing the sausage handed over by Oscar, everyone did not refuse. After all, the starred Great Forest was no joke. There was a possibility of facing danger at any time. Even Wuji had to be careful. Although it was the periphery, no one stipulated that higher soul beasts could not come to the periphery. In short, it is better to be careful. Feng did not have any other ideas, let alone any thoughts of complacency and arrogance. Life is only once. Who knows if you will have such good luck next time after death and be reborn again. Zhao Wuji also became serious at this time. He looked at Feng and others, and then said loudly, "Listen to me carefully. Xingdu Great Forest is not the kind of place where the country keeps soul beasts. The soul beasts here are extremely dangerous. You may face attacks from soul beasts of 1,000 or even 10,000 years at any time. Therefore, after entering the forest, none of you should leave our body for more than 20 meters. Especially when he said this, he also looked at Ning Rongrong and Oscar. After all, they were the only two auxiliary soul masters. Understood. Everyone nodded and said that they understood. Zhao Wuji looked around at everyone. Seeing that the boys and girls in front of him were ready, he waved his hand. Let's go. The moment they stepped into Xingdu Great Forest, Daimai took the initiative to stand out and stood at the front of the team. After entering Xingdu Great Forest, Zhao Wu was the most excited. She didn't seem to think it was a dangerous place at all. She jumped up and down, and was indescribably happy. Zhao Wuji frowned, but Zhao Wu didn't exceed his limit, so he didn't say much. After coming here, Zhao Wu's style was obviously different from others. Even other people noticed this. It was Feng who pulled Zhao Wu and signaled. Zhao Wu also reacted and realized that she was a little too happy. Then she nodded seriously and signaled to everyone to shut up. The terrain in the Xingdu Great Forest is very complicated. There is no road in the forest at all. The work of clearing the way naturally fell on Daimai. After all, here, only Daimai's martial spirit is the most suitable to clear the way. Using the martial spirit possession, Daimai's white tiger palm blade bounced off, and with both palms waving, he cut the thorns in the way forward and pushed the progress quickly. Like a bulldozer, he cleared the thorns and weeds in front of him. Ning Rongrong and Oscar came to the middle of the team. Juzukin and Ma Hongjun were on the flanks, and Feng fell to the end. Tang San followed Feng closely, improving his vision and hearing to the strongest state, and carefully observing the surroundings. Seeing this, Feng's eyes flashed with envy. Although he knew Tai Kai, but Tang San's Xuanshan Baolu is a divine book, which contains knowledge of herbs, hidden weapons, forging, cultivation, and many strange stories and opinions. For example, The 10-headed Liang snake existed in Tang San's world in the original book, and it is a prehistoric beast, so Yun Feng has never dared to underestimate Tang San. Why can the prehistoric beast that existed in ancient times come to this world? So Yun Feng coveted Tang San's Xuanshan Baolu. He also knew that Tang San copied a copy and put it in his 24 Bridges moonlit night. As for why he was not worried, it was because people in this world could not understand the text of his world. If there was a chance, Yun Feng would honestly like to go to Tang San's original world to take a look. What kind of world is it that can achieve such a step? The combat power is so strange. There is a bit of fantasy in martial arts, and after arriving in the city of slaughter, there is also a bit of myth. But Yun Feng didn't think much about it. To be honest, he wasn't absolutely sure that he could fight Tang San now. He could kill Tang San in seconds, and Tang San could kill him directly, so it was not worth taking risks. And this place was not an ordinary soul beast forest, but the starred Great Forest. Wild soul beasts were very aggressive, and they hated humans who improved their strength by hunting them. The most terrifying thing was that some of the wild soul beasts were in groups, which meant that it was very likely that they would encounter a group of powerful wild soul beasts. In this case, unless the Soul Master himself was extremely powerful, it would be difficult to resist. Therefore, once you enter the range of wild soul beasts, you must be extremely careful and not make any mistakes, otherwise, you may face a catastrophe. In the process of moving forward, they soon encountered soul beasts, and a group of soul beasts. In Zhao Wuji's deliberately low voice, everyone stopped moving forward and looked at the orderly ants blocking them in front of them. Yun Feng also recognized what kind of soul beast it was, Qianjun ant, this extremely weak tribe. This instantly reminded Yun Feng of the three brothers of the Qianjun Ant King in the depths of the Xingdu Great Forest. What did they do wrong? Their only mistake was to slaughter their own tribe, but this was not for Tang San to find a trump to reason to slaughter them for his own selfishness. Of course, soul beasts and humans are in opposition, and from the perspective of soul masters, there is naturally nothing wrong, but Tang San's behavior is disgusting. You can kill them. But why do you have to find a reason? The opposition between soul masters and soul beasts does not need a reason, but the appearance of this reason makes Tang San seem particularly hypocritical. Dare to drink water from the lake of life today, and dare to eat people tomorrow. Chapter 102. The 8 Spider Lance is found. It's really a double standard. Daima Bai wanted to take action directly after seeing it, but was stopped by Yun Feng behind him, who pointed to the side. Daima Bai didn't understand why, but under Zhao Wuji's cough, he continued to cut the thorns to the side to help everyone move forward. Daima Bai originally wanted to ask why, but when he saw Yun Feng, he still held back the original question. He didn't want to expose his ignorance. Daima Bai, like Zhuzuking, began to compete for imperial power after awakening the White Tiger martial spirit. Although there was protection, in that situation, learning any knowledge was trembling, and naturally he didn't learn it. When he ran to Shrek later, he was not very old. After the long-lost sense of depression was removed, Daima Bai began to release his nature, so it is impossible to say that he learned something systematically in Shrek Academy. The same reason, Oscar, who was born with full soul power, was 29th level at the age of 14, and now he is only 30th level. And Ning, who was 11 years old, was born with level 9 soul power and 26th level. Later, Flanders used Oscar to puan Ning. It is conceivable that the teaching level of Shrek Academy is poor. However, it was not only Daima Bai, but also Zhao Wuji who was a little confused. He did not know what Yun Feng's purpose was. In his opinion, it was okay to kill a group of weak soul beasts. But in fact, this was the rule of the Spirit Hall. Zhao Wuji had been hunted by the Spirit Hall before, so he naturally did not care about the rules and regulations of the Spirit Hall. The Xingdu Great Forest was so dense that it was not an exaggeration to describe it as covering the sky and blocking the sun. It was not easy to see the sun in the forest. The crowd walked forward for about an hour, and it was already noon. In this hour, they also encountered many soul beasts, but most of them were 10 or 100 years old. When they encountered soul beasts, They mostly avoided them and did not directly conflict with them. Occasionally, some of them came up to die without opening their eyes, and Daimabai's tiger palm directly solved the problem. Of course, he listened to Yun Feng's advice and did not kill these soul beasts, but just drove them away or injured them. Otherwise, it would seem that he knew nothing. However, Daimabai's little thoughts were clearly seen by almost everyone present. It was too obvious. The look of wanting to say something but not being able to was too easy to recognize. Okay, let's take a break first. Daowuji's voice made everyone who had been tense relax. Daimabai cleared the surrounding thorns and made a nearly 100 square meter open space. Everyone sat down against the trees and rested temporarily. Although Oscar was constantly restoring their physical strength, they could not recover their mental exhaustion. Everyone also took out food from the storage soul guide, and then drank the water they carried with them to rest temporarily. Daowuji issued an order to rest for an hour. This place is still outside the Xingdu Great Forest, and high-level soul beasts are rare, so it is relatively safe. Their goal is to help Oscar hunt a suitable 1000-year soul beast, so they need to go deeper. The deeper they go, the more dangerous it is, and the less time they will have to rest. Therefore, it is very necessary to adjust to the best condition in a relatively safe place. Daowu, Juzukin and Ningrong were all beside Yun Feng, talking and laughing. Tang San looked at this scene with a dark look in his eyes. He didn't know why, but he always felt that something was not right, so he had a complicated feeling towards Yun Feng. What was his original idea? Find a girlfriend for his little brother. After all, in Tang San's opinion, Yun Feng had no talent. It was unlikely that he would become an excellent spirit master in the future, so it was better to prepare for the future early. But what about now? Yun Feng had left him far behind, even 99.99% of the people. He was a well-deserved genius. He, a genius with full innate spirit power, seemed so mediocre at the moment. And Zhao was the girl he pursued, so he was very entangled now, and had no idea what he could do. In the end, he could only sigh helplessly. It was the only way. Tang San comforted himself. After all, Yun Feng and Zhao were not really together now, so his chances were still great. Zhao was so excited when she first entered the forest, but after the first encounter with the soul beast, she looked listless, as if she had something on her mind. Juzukin also found a chance to ask her, but Zhao always said that she was fine. Only Yun Feng knew why Zhao became like this. After all, she saw everyone hunting and their attitude towards soul beasts. Zhao naturally couldn't help but think too much. But Yun Feng didn't know how to comfort her when he saw this. He just chatted with the girls. While Yun Feng was chatting with the two girls, the news about Yin suddenly came to his mind. Yun Feng, I found the soul beast you asked me to find for you. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the human-faced demon spider you mentioned. After hearing what Yin said, Yun Feng was delighted. The 8 spider lands was found. Now, as long as he kills the human-faced demon spider before Tang San, the 8 spider lands will be his. Suppressing the throbbing in his heart, Yun Feng was about to say something to Yin. Yin said again, something is coming. Yun Feng, Tang San, and Zhao all looked in the same direction at the same time. Zhao shouted loudly, everyone, get up, something is approaching quickly. Yun Feng did the same, prepare for battle. Yun Feng felt the information that Yin kept sending, and immediately understood what it was. After turning his head and looking at Oscar, he would definitely not let Oscar get the spirit ring as he wished. There was no other reason. He had thought it through during this period of time. He had a system, and he didn't need such people around him in the future. He just wanted his women to accompany him, and he couldn't accept Oscar's intentional or unintentional use of that extremely obscene look to look at his women in the future. His things, no one can take them away, and no one can take them away. It's that simple. On Shrek's side, Juzukin was the first to react, followed by Tang San. After all, Juzukin was chased all the way here. Naturally, she was very sensitive to some things, and she took action the moment Zhao spoke. On the contrary, Ma Hongjun and Daimilbai didn't care a bit. Shrek has become a veteran in the past few years, and they also believe that Zhao will not let them get into trouble. However, in this atmosphere, The two are still prepared to fight the enemy. The rustling sound grew louder and louder. Even Oscar, who is an auxiliary soul master, can clearly feel how fast the unknown creature is approaching. Chapter 103. Is this the difference between people? After Yun Feng thought about it, he said directly, Zhu King, go and see what it is. Zhu King did not refuse Yun Feng's words, but directly replied, okay. Zhu King's words were concise and to the point, without any hesitation. After saying this, Zhu King turned into a shadow, and under the gaze of everyone, with the help of the surrounding branches, he quickly jumped to the top. A pair of eyes shone with a little light, staring at the front and scanning quickly. The vision of the nether spirit cat is very good, even at night, not to mention that it is noon when the sun is shining brightly. It didn't take long for Zhu King to find the target. He said quickly, that seems to be a flying snake-like soul beast, but it can't fly high, and can only fly forward about 3 meters above the ground. It has a fleshy crest on its head, which looks bigger than its head and as bright red as blood. Its tail is quite special, fan-shaped, and it flies very fast. When Yun Feng heard this, he had already confirmed that the soul beast that was about to arrive was the phoenix tail cockapoo. After thinking about it, he looked at Oscar meaningfully and said directly, if my guess is correct, it is the phoenix tail cockapoo. This kind of soul beast is quite rare. The fleshy crest on its head has many wonderful functions, which is quite suitable for Oscar. After all, the phoenix tail cockapoo is extremely gentle. After these words came out, Dao Wuji's eyes suddenly lit up. Phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake, it's easy to get it. Oscar, you are lucky. Remember to keep an eye on the direction it is heading, and report to us immediately if there is any change. Zhu King actually felt a little uncomfortable when she heard Dao Wuji's commanding words, but considering the future, she still resisted the urge to refute. It is coming in our direction, very fast, but its body seems to have a hard time keeping its balance, as if it is running for its life, and it is also injured. The wings are light red, and the length is about 6 to 8 meters. This is a 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake. Hearing Zhu King's words, the people of Shrek, except Zhao Wu and Tang San, showed a confused look. The eyes looking at Yun Feng changed. Why does he know so much? In contrast, they felt as if they had learned nothing before. Why does he know so much? Is this the difference between people? Tang San saw the embarrassment of Dai Mabai and others, and wanted to show off his knowledge, so he said directly, Yun Feng is right, Dao, you are lucky this time. The phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake is not poisonous. It is a rare powerful non-venomous snake. It uses its body to wrap around the enemy to suffocate it. The attack method is very simple, but the speed is very fast. Moreover, its coxcomb stores various nutrients. In times of crisis, it can give it the effect of instantly increasing speed. If you get this spirit ring, then your next spirit skill should be related to speed. Whether it is to assist in increasing speed or to add speed to yourself, it is a good choice. The phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake is not very strong in its own attack power and is relatively simple. Therefore, it is rare to see it over 1,000 years old. So you are lucky this time. But they completely forgot what Zhu King said. This phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake seemed to be hunted. After seeing the right spirit beast, they didn't care about anything else. Rules or something? They ignored it subconsciously. Yun Feng said directly, what a pity, this phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake was targeted by someone else. Everyone was shocked when they heard this, and then looked at Yun Feng in confusion, and asked doubtfully, Yun Feng, how do you know that it was targeted by someone else? The snake obviously didn't come over. Yun Feng smiled indifferently, looked at Zhao Wuji who asked him the question, and said directly, the soul beasts in the Xingdu Great Forest all have their own living areas, and the habits of soul beasts are the same. You also heard what Zhu King said just now. The phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake rushed around in such a panic. It is obviously being hunted down, and soul beasts of the same level will hardly make the phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake so embarrassed, and soul beasts with a higher age ratio will not spend so much effort to hunt it down. The gain outweighs the loss. So from this conclusion, this phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake is obviously targeted by other soul masters and has been hunted down. When Yun Feng spoke, He was confident, without any hesitation. He was obviously very confident in his guess, and this confidence also infected everyone. It's not that they didn't hear what Zhuzukin said before, but they just subconsciously pretended not to know. Anyway, Daowuji is here, so what if he robbed someone else's? Now that Yun Feng has exposed it, they are a little embarrassed, especially Oscar, but then Yun Feng changed the subject and said again, of course, they didn't hunt it because they don't have the ability. If you really want this spirit ring, it is recommended to take it down quickly and absorb it directly. Oscar smiled after hearing what Yun Feng said. He was about to say something to Daowuji, but Daowuji turned his head away, obviously not wanting to listen. After all, this is the rule. Oscar had no choice but to focus his attention on Yun Feng. Yun Feng, do you know how to capture this kind of soul beast? Yun Feng smiled calmly, and then said, of course, the easiest way is to let Teacher Zhao take action. With his soul saint strength, he can capture it in one go. After hearing this, Oscar looked at Daowuji again. Seeing that he still had no reaction, he continued to ask Yun Feng, are there any other ways? Yun Feng nodded. The phoenix tail coxcomb snake, as a snake soul beast, its natural enemy is naturally Ma Hongjun's evil fire phoenix. Moreover, as the king of birds, the phoenix naturally has a certain suppressive effect on this kind of soul beast, although this phoenix is a bit. But at least it is useful. Oscar wanted to continue asking, but Zhuzukin on the tree made a sound at this time. It's coming. As soon as the voice fell, a sound came from the dense forest that everyone was watching. It was a huge snake, and its appearance was just as Zhuzukin had described. It was about 6 or 7 meters long, with a bright red fleshy crown on its head, and it looked a bit ferocious. Its body was running forward at a high speed, and was hit by Zhuzukin. The first soul skill was activated, and a yellow soul ring lit up from behind her. The first soul skill, the Netherworld 100 Claws. The phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake reacted quickly. Although it rushed forward quickly, its head tilted in a hurry. Zhuzukin's attack did not completely hit the fleshy crown, but hit it on the body, making a muffled sound, which immediately reduced the speed of the phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake's rush forward. The phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake, which felt the pain, seemed to be frightened. The snake tilted its head, suddenly opened its mouth and sprayed a colorful mist towards Zhuzukin. Chapter 104 Daowuji, I think they are all acting. At the same time, the bright red flesh crown on its head lit up, and the speed that had just been delayed for a moment increased again. When everyone in Shrek Academy saw this scene, they thought that Zhuzukin would be very uncomfortable if she didn't die. After all, this fog looked extremely poisonous, but Yun Feng was extremely calm and said directly to Zhuzukin in the sky, Zuking, the smoke of the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake is not poisonous. Zhuzukin was originally shrouded in this colorful smoke and was still a little panicked, but after hearing Yun Feng's words, she relaxed instantly. Yun Feng was not idle at this time. He directly summoned his martial soul and then used his fourth soul skill. A pair of huge wings appeared directly behind Yun Feng. Yun Feng flew into the sky, flapped his wings, and first blew away the colorful mist. Later, the Blue Silver Kings also continued to attack the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake that was still moving rapidly according to Yun Feng's thoughts. Tightly entangled it in the sky. But the body of the phoenix-tailed cockatiel was extremely smooth. Yun Feng had not been entangled for long before the phoenix-tailed cockatiel broke free of a small hole and slipped away. Oscar, who was extremely happy, was stunned when he saw this scene. Seeing this, Yun Feng's mouth also showed a slight arc. Wanting to hunt down the phoenix-tailed cockatiel as soon as possible, how could Yun Feng let it do so? His proposal is a proposal, and his advice is advice, but it doesn't mean he will do it. Seeing this, Zhuzukin attacked without thinking too much. Seeing this, Ning-rong-a-rong also began to mutter behind him. The 7 treasures are famous, and the second one is speed. Ning-rong-a-rong's crisp voice happened to sound at this time. Zhuzukin only felt that his body lightened, and the speed of his pounce increased again, just in time to block the phoenix-tailed cockatiel that wanted to escape. Zhuzukin took advantage of this wave of acceleration, and without any hesitation, he directly used his second soul skill, the Netherworld Stab. Snap! However, The attack of the two angered the phoenix-tailed cockatiel even more. The body swung one by one, and the fan-shaped tail directly swept Juzukin's body in the air. There was a loud bang. Juzukin instantly groaned, and her body flew backwards for nearly 10 meters before being caught by Yunfeng in the sky and stopped. After Yunfeng put Juzukin down, he continued to swing the blue silver king to hit the king phoenix-tailed cockatiel. He now understands all the habits and weaknesses of soul beasts. Of course, he knows how to make the phoenix-tailed cockatiel go crazy without hurting the other party. Sure enough, under Yunfeng's operation, the phoenix-tailed cockatiel, which had originally shaken off Yunfeng's encirclement, instantly became manic and restless from having no aggression. The roar resounded through the sky. Dao Wuji, an experienced man, immediately realized that something was wrong after hearing this sound. This cry was a wail, and the bloodthirsty soul beasts in the forest would definitely come over after hearing this cry. The law of the jungle is the eternal and unchanging basic law of nature. No matter where it is, no soul beast can resist a blood food that can be easily obtained. Thinking of this, Dao Wuji hurriedly released his aura, in order to deter some soul beasts, but fortunately this is the periphery. If it was in the depths of the starred great forest, Dao Wuji would be courting death. After all, soul masters can hunt soul beasts and obtain soul rings to become stronger. Soul beasts can also hunt soul masters and absorb their blood essence to improve their strength. The phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake felt the surging power in its body and was naturally unwilling to die like this. It began to struggle frantically. With the increase in speed, it was thrown away by a tail before Daimabai and Tang San had time to stop it. The huge impact force shocked Daimabai and Tang San to the corners of their mouths. The whole person was even more confused. Tang San frowned and looked at the soul beast in front of him. I don't know why it seems to be a little different from what I have learned. Why did this phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake suddenly become so irritable? But he also knew that he couldn't drag it on, otherwise it would change. He didn't care whether Oscar could get this spirit ring or not. He just didn't want to stay here forever. It would cause any problems later. After all, the noise was too loud. The blue-silver grass buried underground suddenly burst out, spreading from underground in an instant, and stabbed at the phoenix cockatiel in the low sky. But the phoenix cockatiel's body suddenly became slippery. Not only the spikes on the blue-silver grass could not penetrate its snake skin, but it made it drill out of the blue-silver grass under the sharp twist. When Yunfeng saw this scene, he almost laughed. He had deliberately let it run away before, and Tang San was completely lacking in strength. Dao Wu was not idle at this time, but teleported to the head of the phoenix cockatiel, holding the snake head with her ankles, and the orange-yellow spirit ring on her body flashed. The first spirit skill, waist bow. Dao Wu's action almost stopped the phoenix cockatiel's movement by force, and then turned 180 degrees in the sky and fell down. Boom! A huge noise accompanied by ashes instantly blocked everyone's sight. When Oscar saw this, he was very excited. But before he could speak, Dao Wuji realized something was wrong. In the smoke, the phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake was hit so hard, but nothing happened. Only a few scales fell off its body. Then it seemed to have found a way to escape. It rushed towards Ma Hongjun. Ma Hongjun thought that the matter had been resolved, so he didn't have much defense. The moment he was about to make contact with the spirit possession, his abdomen was suddenly hit hard. Puff! Before Ma Hongjun could react, he was hit and flew dozens of meters away, breaking several large trees. He fainted. After seeing this scene, Dao Wuji also frowned, and after looking at Yunfeng and Tang San, he didn't say anything. If the phoenix-tailed cockatiel snake really ran away, it was unknown how long it would stay in the starred great forest. Seeing the phoenix-tailed cockatiel about to run away, he stood up directly, with the shining third soul ring on his body. The body of the 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed cockatiel suddenly stiffened and its speed dropped significantly. It was Dao Wuji's third soul ring skill, gravity enhancement. Then, Dao Wuji's fourth and fifth soul rings lit up at the same time, and his body suddenly leaped up. When he fell again, he came right in front of the 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed cockatiel under the effect of the fourth soul ring skill positioning tracking. and gravity squeeze was activated at the same time. No matter how slippery the phoenix-tailed cockatiel was, it had no room to display in front of Zhao Wuji's powerful soul power. Even the phoenix-tailed cockatiel, which was stimulated and strengthened by Yun Feng, was not of much use in the face of such absolute strength. Chapter 105 Oscar is anxious. Yun Feng had no other thoughts when he saw this scene. Through Yin, he had seen two figures rushing towards this side. Zhao Wuji stretched out his bare paw and had already grasped the head of the phoenix-tailed cockatiel, holding it in front of him. He raised his other hand and flicked its flesh crown. The phoenix-tailed cockatiel was directly knocked unconscious by the violence of the powerful King Kong bear. If Zhao Wuji had not wanted to save its life, it would not have been able to withstand this finger alone. It's done. Everyone cheered excitedly at the same time. Oscar was only 14 years old, and his excitement was beyond words. He ran towards Zhao Wuji in 2 or 3 steps. Only Zhao Wu stood beside Yun Feng. Her face was not very good, and her eyes were also very dark. She lowered her head and didn't know what she was thinking. Yun Feng, who noticed Zhao Wu's emotions, put his hand on Zhao Wu's head, smiled and didn't say anything. Feeling the reassuring breath coming from Yun Feng again, Zhao Wu's heart was also much calmer. That's great. Zhao Wu sighed in her heart and returned to normal. Teacher, Before Oscar finished speaking, Zhao Wuji took out a short blade from his waist and handed it to Oscar. The night is long and dreams are many. Hurry up and pierce it from the point below its flesh crown. You can pierce its brain and this soul ring is yours. Oscar excitedly took the short blade. At this time, this 1,000-year soul beast was a lamb to be slaughtered in front of him. The third soul skill was about to succeed. He was so excited that his hands were shaking. Just when Oscar was about to stab the knife in his hand, suddenly, a hoarse and sharp shout suddenly sounded. Stop! Yun Feng laughed in his heart when he heard this. Yin watched all this, and I don't know what he thought of the person in front of him. I always feel that Yan is bad. But Yin didn't think anything of Yun Feng. After all, this was his own choice, and Yun Feng also helped him see some people and some things clearly. 2 figures jumped out from the direction where the phoenix-tail coxcomb snake flew before, and appeared in front of everyone. The 2 people, one old and one young, were both women. The old one looked to be in her 60s or 70s, with a head of white hair combed very neatly. Although she was not young, she was very energetic. Although there were many wrinkles on her face, it was as rosy as a baby. There was a gleam in her eyes, and in her right hand she held a 3-meter-long snake-headed cane, with 6 spirit rings moving up and down. Her body had not changed, but the spirit rings showed that she had used her martial spirit. Needless to say, the cane in her hand should be her martial spirit. Following the old woman was a beautiful girl with short hair that reached her ears. She looked to be 16 or 17 years old. She was wearing a neat outfit that tightly covered her well-developed figure. Her big dark brown eyes were fixed on the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake in Zhao Wuji's hand. She also held a snake-headed cane in her hand, but it was shorter than the old woman's, only 2 meters long, and the spirit rings on her body were only 200 years old. The appearance of the old woman and the little girl startled everyone at the same time, but when they saw that the old woman had 6 spirit rings, they all breathed a sigh of relief. After all, the 7 spirit rings on Zhao Wuji's body were not vegetarian, especially those deep black 10,000-year spirit rings, which showed their deterrent power nakedly. Zhao Wuji glanced at the old woman. His eyes fell on the snakehead crutch in her hand, and he couldn't help but think of a person in his heart. His voice was not too harsh, but sounded a little gentle. This surprised the students who knew him well. Zhao Wuji has never been a good-tempered person. He never has a good face for people who are not as strong as himself, especially in this case where the other party is obviously aiming for the 1,000-year-old phoenix-tail coxcomb snake. The old woman coughed to make her facial expression look softer. Hello, respected soul saint. You can't give this phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake to this child. Zhao Wuji pinched the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake with one hand, and winked at Oscar, signaling him to wait, and turned to the old woman and asked, why? The old woman seemed to have recovered a little at this time. Because we found this snake first and took the lead in hunting it. Otherwise, How could we have tracked it all the way here? Oscar couldn't help it after hearing this. He heard Yun Feng say before that this soul ring was extremely suitable for him. If it was robbed, he might not be able to sleep all night. Seeing Zhao Wuji's hesitation, Oscar felt uncomfortable in his heart. In order to make the matter a done deal, Oscar ignored Zhao Wuji's obstruction and stabbed the short dagger directly at the flesh crown of the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake in Zhao Wuji's hand. As a soul saint, Zhao Wuji could naturally sense Oscar's movements, but he was not sure whether his guess was true. After all, he had heard of someone who possessed the snake spear martial spirit. If it was the old woman in front of him, he could not afford to offend them. After all, if he really annoyed them, he and his companions might not be able to walk out of the starred great forest. So he turned his hand, pinched the hand of the phoenix-tail coxcomb snake, and threw Oscar away. His eyes revealed a coldness, and he glanced at Oscar coldly and said, "Don't act on your own. I can't protect you when the time comes." Seeing Zhao Wuji being so sensible, the old woman smiled and said slowly, "Master Soul Saint, you are very righteous." Zhao Wuji was not a completely bullying person, but just wanted to get more specific information. If he was sure that Long Gong was not here, he would not be able to find any evidence even if he was killed. Thinking of this, Zhao Wuji did not hide his tone. "You are joking. I don't take it as an excuse, but I have a question. How can you prove that you were the ones who started hunting it first? When we found it, there was no trace of you." When hearing this, everyone in Shrek Academy knew that Zhao Wuji was pretending to be confused. Yun Feng had said before that this soul beast was definitely being hunted, so it was so panicked. Now Wuji's behavior obviously shows that he doesn't want to admit it, so there is no need to think about the truth of this matter. But now they are standing aside, and it is difficult for them to say anything. But unfortunately, after hearing this, the old woman had a trace of anger in her brows, but she still suppressed it and pointed the snake spear in her hand at the belly of the phoenix-tailed cockapoo. "Look at the belly of this phoenix-tailed cockatiel. There are 2 scars. They were injured by my snake spear. There are also scars under its wings. I just let this slippery little guy escape by mistake. This granddaughter has just reached level 30. She really needs this spirit ring. As you can see, she inherited my weapon spirit, the snake spear. The high-level snake spirit is the most suitable for her." Chapter 106. Secretly happy. Zhao Wuji lowered his head to look at the belly of the phoenix-tailed cockatiel in his hand. As the old woman said, there was indeed such a scar, but if Zhao Wuji wanted to let go just because of this, it would be a fantasy. Zhao Wuji just smiled coldly. "This senior, I haven't asked for your name yet." Seeing this, the old woman also said humbly, "I dare not. I am Zhao Tangxiang. I am honored by my friends in the Soul Master world and given the title of Snake Lady. My husband is Meng Shu, known as Dragon Lord. This time I came to the Xingdu Great Forest to find a suitable third soul ring for our granddaughter. I think the children around you are not old enough to absorb the 1000-year soul ring. Although the soul ring of the phoenix-tailed cockatiel is milder, it is not something they can absorb." In Zhao Tangxiang's view, among these children, Dai Mabai, the oldest, is also younger than her granddaughter, and she is very confident in her granddaughter's strength. She doesn't think that these children can reach level 30 earlier than her granddaughter. After hearing the old woman's self-introduction, Zhao Wuji was secretly surprised and became distressed. He held down Oscar, who was about to argue, and said in a deep voice, "Are you the Snake Lady, one of the peerless dragons and snakes?" Zhao Tangxiang smiled indifferently. "I dare not." "That's right, I haven't asked the Soul Saint's name yet." Zhao Wuji's expression changed slightly. He had heard of the name of the peerless dragons and snakes a long time ago. It was because he knew it that he felt it was difficult. This couple debuted very early and had extraordinary strength, especially Long Gong Meng Shu. When he heard about him, that Long Gong was already at the level of Soul Saint. Even if he had reached the Soul Buo realm now, he would not be surprised. Long Gong's martial soul is a dragon head crutches, which complements the snake head crutches of the Snake Lady. The couple has an extremely domineering martial soul fusion skill. Unless you have the strength of a titled Buo, it is difficult to resist. And even if you are a titled Buo, You can't get any benefits under this martial soul fusion skill. Zhao Wuji was only a soul saint. Although the snake woman in front of him looked weaker than him, as long as the Dragon Lord appeared, he would not be able to deal with him. The relationship between the peerless dragon-snake couple was very good, and the couple never separated. The snake woman was here, and the Dragon Lord must not be far away. Zhao Wuji had thought about killing the grandparents and grandchildren in front of him to silence them. But killing the little one was easy, but killing the snake woman Zhao Tangxian was not easy. Although he was wondering stronger than her, if Zhao Tangxian insisted on escaping, he would have no chance to stop her. After all, Zhao Wuji was a power-type soul master and was not good at speed. And once the snake woman escaped, what awaited him would be the endless pursuit of the peerless dragon snake. I am Zhao Wuji. At that moment, the expression on Zhao Wuji's face became softer, and he gave his name. Zhao Tangxian's expression also moved slightly. He said with a smile on his face, "No wonder, I was wondering how I could meet such a young soul saint so casually. It turns out he is the famous Akilinata in the Soul Master world." Zhao Wuji smiled awkwardly, waved his hand, and said directly, "Senior Snake Woman, you are too kind. I was also notorious in my past, but I have lived a secluded life in recent years, teaching some students in an academy. This time I brought these children to the Starred Great Forest, one to get a soul ring for one of them, and the other to take them to see the world. Unexpectedly, I met you, Senior." Zhao Tangxian didn't want to argue with Zhao Wuji anymore, so he got straight to the point. "I am older than you, so I will be more generous and call you Brother Zhao." "Brother Zhao, this 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake is extremely important to my granddaughter. She has just reached level 30 and needs a suitable martial spirit. We were the first to discover this phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake and injured it. It escaped because of carelessness. Can you please give us this soul beast? I will definitely remember this favor and repay it in the future." Zhao Wuji sneered in his heart. "Just with a few words, you want to take away the 1,000-year soul beast I got. Even if you are powerful, it may not be that easy. What's more, Lord Long is not here after all." Zhao Tangxian wanted to take back the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake in Zhao Wuji's hand as soon as possible, and Zhao Wuji also wanted to solve the problem quickly. He didn't want to wait until Lord Long came. At that time, the situation would not be under his control. "Sister Zhao, I'm afraid this matter is not easy to handle." Zhao Wuji showed a face of embarrassment. The girl standing next to Zhao Tangxian couldn't help but speak. "What's so difficult about it? We were the first to discover this 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake. If we hadn't injured it, would you have been able to get it so easily? Return it to us quickly, or I'll be rude to you." As she spoke, she had already raised the snake-headed crutch in her hand. Zhao Tangxian also frowned, staring at Zhao Wuji, and said, "Brother Zhao, so you don't want to return this phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake to our grandparents?" Zhao Wuji smiled slightly and said, "Sister Zhao, what you said is not right. In this Xingdu Great Forest, all soul beasts are ownerless. Perhaps, this 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake was really discovered by you first and injured it, but it was us who caught it in the end. You insist on saying that it is yours, which is probably not fair. Although it is more suitable for your grandson, it is also very suitable for one of my students. This relatively gentle soul beast is also very helpful to my student's martial soul." Zhao Tangxian was stunned. "You mean, among your students, there are also spirit masters who have reached level 30? Mengren couldn't help but frown after hearing this. Looking at Yun Feng and others, she couldn't understand. Could it be that these children in front of her were stronger than herself? But after a flash of thought, she didn't think about it any further. After all, the most important thing at the moment is her spirit ring. After hearing what Zhao Tangxian said, Zhao Wuji nodded directly. He couldn't help but feel happy in his heart, although Yun Feng and Tang San had made him suffer before. But when he thought about letting other people see this scene, Zhao Wuji's heart was instantly relieved. When Zhao Tangxian saw Zhao Wuji's appearance, she was immediately shocked. These young men and women in front of her looked only 15 or 16 years old, and most of them were still 12 or 13 years old. If someone among them has reached level 30, doesn't that mean that they are more talented than her granddaughter? Thinking of this, Zhao Tangxian showed an expression of disbelief on her face. and her eyes fell directly on Dime Bai, the oldest and most handsome evil-eyed white tiger. Daowuji smiled and said, "If you don't believe me, I will let these children open their martial spirits and show them to you. Those who belong to Shrek, open your martial spirits and show your spirit rings to this snake woman senior." Chapter 107. I don't agree. But Daowuji was embarrassed soon, because the people present did not summon their martial spirits directly, but stared at Daowuji blankly. Daowuji was immediately furious. Yun Feng, Tang San and others were fine. Dime Bai, Oscar and Ma Hongjun, "What's wrong with you?" Just when Daowuji wanted to say something else, Yun Feng spoke up. "Everyone, release your martial spirits. Don't you see how embarrassed Teacher Zhao is now?" It would have been fine if Yun Feng hadn't said this. As soon as Daowuji said this, he felt embarrassed. Just when Zhao Tangxian wanted to say something, after all, as a teacher, this was too much of a failure. But then she saw this scene, and she was so shocked that she couldn't speak. As Yun Feng's words fell, everyone released their martial spirits without hesitation. Suddenly, the 7 young men and women who appeared in front of the snake woman Zhao Tangxian all had shining soul rings. Everyone had at least 2 yellow soul rings symbolizing 100 years. And Zhao Wu and Dime Bai had an extra purple 1000-year soul ring, and Yun Feng had 4 soul rings! This sight really shocked the snake woman Zhao Tangxian. How is this possible? This was the first thought in Zhao Tangxian's mind. These children, ranging from 12 to 15 years old, have already reached the level of Great Soul Master, and the little girl and the one who looks older are also Soul Masters. The blue-haired boy in the lead is a Soul Master of level 40. Moreover, the quality of each of their soul rings is so good that not even a 10-year soul ring has appeared. Is this a joke? Is Shrek Academy a hidden academy? Every student in it is so powerful. When thinking of this, Zhao Tangxian hesitated for a moment. After all, if the family of the group of little guys on the opposite side has power, it would be difficult for her to continue. However, the people on the opposite side are more cautious. Released soul rings, but the martial soul cannot be seen, and they are actually hidden directly. And what is this concept? If there is a child with a stronger talent than her granddaughter, Zhao Tangxian may be able to accept it. But at this time, the strength shown by these children, judging from their age, is actually stronger than her granddaughter. It can be said that these 8 young men and women all need to be described as geniuses. But how could so many geniuses appear at once? Seeing the shock in Zhao Tangxian's eyes, Daowuji couldn't help but feel secretly happy, with a smile on his face like a smiling tiger. "Senior, do you think these students of mine are worthy of your attention?" Zhao Tangxian took a deep breath, barely calming down the excitement in her heart, and said with a fake smile, "Of course, they are worthy of being disciples of Akala, and heroes are born young. I wonder which of these children has reached level 30? Although Zhao Tangxian was asking questions, her eyes were always fixed on where Yun Feng was. Even Mengren was the same. After all, at such a young age, he is a soul sect above level 40. It's incredible. If possible, I really want to ask him how he practiced. Daowuji and others also noticed the gazes of the grandfather and grandson, but they didn't say anything. Daowuji patted Oscar beside him. "It's this kid. He just reached level 30. I have no choice but to bring them here. I am destined to be a hard worker." Zhao Tangxian naturally understood what Daowuji was. Now she didn't think about Yun Feng's cultivation anymore. For the sake of her granddaughter, it was worth taking some risks. So when Zhao Tangxian looked at Oscar, her expression became more and more ugly. She knew very well how important a good spirit ring was to a spirit master who was about to advance. Now that the 1000-year-old phoenix tail coxcomb snake was in someone else's hands, it was not so easy to get Daowuji in front of her to spit it out. She had heard of this guy's notoriety. If it weren't for the name of the peerless dragon snake that intimidated him, maybe this kid would have directly killed her grandparents. However, Zhao Tangxian was obviously unwilling to give up like this. While she was hesitating, Yun Feng said quietly, "Since you are reluctant to part with this 1000-year-old phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake, I think, why don't we follow the rules of the Soul Master world and let them decide for themselves the ownership of the Soul Ring? What do you think?" Oh, the rules of the Soul Master world? Dao Wuji was not being pretentious. He had never considered himself a member of the Soul Master world. He acted according to his own preferences, otherwise he would not have had a bad reputation. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Feng said slowly, "It's very simple. Since they all need this spirit ring, and both sides have contributed to the capture of this phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake, since everyone is reluctant to give up, then, isn't it the most appropriate to use strength to decide the ownership of this phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake?" After hearing this, Zhao Tangxiang nodded in surprise, and then looked directly at Zhao Wuji and said, "Brother Zhao, since your students have said so, let's follow this method. If your disciple defeats my granddaughter, I will leave immediately without saying anything. Otherwise, Brother Zhao will have to give up this 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake." After hearing this, Oscar was immediately anxious. He, a food-type spirit master, fought against the opposite weapon spirit master? Isn't this courting death? Is he a very stupid person? He immediately said, "I don't agree." As soon as Oscar said this, Zhao Tangxiang and Meng Yan frowned. But it wasn't over yet. Oscar continued, "We caught it. Why should we fight you? I'm a food-type soul master. How can I fight you?" Oscar's words also made Zhao Tangxiang and Meng Yan a little dumbfounded. Food-type soul master? But Meng Yan, who reacted later, couldn't help but speak. "We were the first to find this 1,000-year-old phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake. If we hadn't injured it, would you have been able to get it so easily? You are not right in the first place. Besides, this is the agreement your teacher and my grandmother just reached. I didn't steal your soul beast, but you did." "What do you mean by saying this now?" This statement was very logical, and Lian Yunfen looked at the girl in front of him more. Oscar looked at Meng Yan helplessly at this time, with a little unwillingness in his eyes. "But I'm just a food-type soul master. How can I fight you?" Just when Dime Bai was about to stand up, a voice suddenly rang out. "Old woman, Yan, why are you here?" Chapter 108, Using Tiger Skin to Pull Off a Trick. The moment this vigorous voice sounded, Dao Wuji's hair trembled instantly. Obviously hearing the voice he least wanted to hear. "Meng Shu is here." Meng Yan was already extremely aggrieved. It was okay that the people here were more talented than him, but this soul beast was obviously discovered and hunted by him and his grandmother first. These people on the opposite side still want to snatch it. The opinions put forward were also refuted. Meng Yan was full of grievances, and she confided them all to Meng Shu. After hearing what her granddaughter said, Meng Shu was naturally not very happy in her heart, and could even be said to be angry. When Zhao Wuji saw this, he knew it was bad. He had experienced the strength of the titled Buo before. Although Meng Shu's strength was only soul Buo, the snake woman was by his side. He didn't want to be beaten again, so he took the initiative to stand up, and said slowly to Meng Shu with a humble smile, "Senior Long Gong, I am Zhao Wuji. May I talk further?" Meng Shu frowned slightly, comforted Meng Yan, leaned over and said a few words to his old woman, and then looked at Zhao Wuji and nodded. After all, from Meng Yan's description, he also knew that the talents of these young men and women in front of him were extraordinary. We can't be careless. We can't treat them casually as usual. But Meng Shu doesn't want to let it go when it comes to his granddaughter. Dao Wuji breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Meng Shu was willing to communicate. What he was afraid of was that Meng Shu was unwilling to communicate and directly attack them. That would be the most uncomfortable. As the saying goes, don't hit a smiling person. Meng Shu glanced at Zhao Wuji. "Come on." After saying that, he walked directly into the forest on the side. Seeing this, Dao Wuji immediately followed without any hesitation. After getting away from the crowd, Meng Shu looked at Zhao Wuji and said calmly, "What's the matter?" Dao Wuji smiled and said slowly, "Senior Long Gong, I think there must be some misunderstanding in this matter." Meng Shu glanced at Zhao Wuji and obviously did not accept Zhao Wuji's words. "Don't be polite, Akala. Your good disciples bullied our Meng family. Don't you think you should give me an explanation for bullying my granddaughter so blatantly?" Dao Wuji said quickly with a bitter face. "Senior, I think there are some misunderstandings. Moreover, although I am the teacher of these children, I have no choice. These children have bigger backgrounds and more geniuses than each other. Look at the wounds on my face. These are all caused by these children. Moreover, They have a very good relationship, so I came to you to talk." Oh, Meng Shu was stunned for a moment, and his heart was secretly chilled. The strength of these boys and girls is so strong. They must have been cultivated by those big forces since they were young. Of course, his own talent should also be extremely outrageous, otherwise it would be impossible to achieve such an achievement at this age, especially the boy named Yun Feng. Zhao Wuji was instantly happy when he saw Meng Shu's expression. He whispered something to Long Gong. At first, Meng Shu showed an extremely surprised look on his face, and gradually, his face looked a little ugly. Zhao Wuji's expression was very calm and polite. After a while, the two had finished their conversation. Meng Shu walked back to his wife and granddaughter and whispered a few words to the snake woman. The snake woman also showed a surprised look. When the old couple's eyes fell on the boys and girls in front of them again, they had become a little different, and all of this naturally fell into Yun Feng's eyes. It's easy to know that Zhao Wuji is talking nonsense again, but Yun Feng didn't expose him. Oscar looked at Zhao Wuji expectantly, but saw Zhao Wuji directly holding the phoenix tail coxcomb snake and came to Meng Ren without even looking at him. Oscar didn't know what he was feeling at this moment. He just looked at Zhao Wuji's back with a vague look in his eyes. The other people in Shrek naturally understood what Zhao Wuji meant at this time. He sighed and didn't say much. At this point, they certainly wouldn't say anything. After all, Zhao Wuji had given up. What would it matter if they said anything? However, compared to Oscar's loneliness, they were more concerned about what Zhao Wuji had said to Long Gong, which instantly reduced his hostility. Zhao Wuji naturally knew Oscar's dissatisfaction, but what could he do? The situation was stronger than the person. Did he want to keep wandering around in the Xingdu Great Forest? Obviously he didn't want to. Although Meng Shu noticed their eyes, he didn't do anything, but signaled to Meng Ren with his eyes. Meng Ren glanced at the people opposite, nodded in understanding, and didn't say anything. He took out the snake spear and stabbed it into the brainstem of the phoenix tail coxcomb snake lying on the ground and unable to move. Sizzled, blood gushed out. After Meng Ren saw that the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake was completely dead, he did not hesitate and sat down to practice. Not long after, a circle of purple light slowly floated out from the body of the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake. Meng Ren carefully used his soul power to pull it to his head. Oscar's eyes were red. This is his own soul ring. In order to avoid his mentality from completely exploding, Oscar chose to turn his head and stop looking. It was too uncomfortable, but Meng Shu and Zhao Tangxiang didn't care about this, but asked Zhao Wuji directly with interest, "Brother Zhao, why don't you introduce these talents?" Zhao Wuji couldn't help but feel sad after hearing this. "Now call me Brother Zhao. The look in your eyes before was so hateful that you wanted to chop me up directly." Although he said so in his heart, he was still very kind on the surface. Meng Shu's idea was also very simple. After all, he had heard what his granddaughter said before, and he hadn't really seen it. It's not that he didn't trust his granddaughter, but when facing such things, he was still a little curious. Of course, as Zhao Wuji introduced them to Meng Shu one by one, Meng Shu's eyes became brighter and brighter. Treasures. These children are all treasures. What a terrifying talent. Meng Ren was immersed in the moment of absorbing the soul ring at this moment. Although he could sense the conversation outside, he could not speak. Meng Ren was very beautiful. After all, she was already 16 years old. Her body was already perfectly developed. Only Zhu Zuqin could suppress her steadily. Her chest was full and round, and her slender waist twisted like a snake. Although there was a slight anger on her face, it did not reduce her grace at all. At this moment, when she heard that those people outside were more talented than her chest was also heaving. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109. Are you proud? Like all geniuses, she also has her own pride. She couldn't believe that she would be outdone in all aspects. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but speed up her soul ring absorption. At this time, the sky had gradually darkened. The air in the Xingdu Great Forest was moist, and the rich plant fragrance made people feel refreshed. If it weren't for the ubiquitous soul beasts, Perhaps this place would be a paradise on earth. Meng Shu also slowly regained his composure, recalling the words Zhao Wuji said during the day. Meng Shu shook his head and sighed. How great it would be if this was from their exotic beast academy. After Meng Shu and Zhao Danxian looked at each other, they saw each other's thoughts. After all, they knew each other too well. Although there are many geniuses here, after understanding, it seems that Yun Feng is not only the strongest among his peers, but also the most handsome. The key is that he doesn't seem to have any background. It's a perfect candidate for a grandson-in-law. I just don't know if my granddaughter likes this. About half an hour passed, and Meng Yun, who had absorbed the spirit ring, opened her eyes. In an instant, the light pink light on her body suddenly changed and turned into a beautiful pink color, and the whole person was bathed in this layer of pink light. 3 spirit rings rose from her feet. In addition to the original 2 yellow spirit rings, another bright purple spirit ring showed its own strength. Meng Yun broke through the level of Great Spirit Master and entered the realm of Soul Master. After obtaining the 3rd spirit ring, Meng Yun's whole person underwent some subtle changes. Her figure seemed to become fuller and the whole person looked more energetic. The biggest change was the pair of snake eyes, which actually flashed with colorful light, just like the energy released by the phoenix tail coxcomb snake when it threatened everyone before. After seeing their granddaughter successfully absorbed, Long Gong Meng Shu and Snake Po Zhao Danxiang naturally laughed happily. Yun has also broken through level 30. Others also sent their blessings. It is always a happy thing for a spirit master to get a spirit ring. Although Meng Yun got the spirit ring, he was not very happy at the moment, because just when she was absorbing, she realized that everyone here seemed to be more talented than her. How could she bear this? However, seeing that everyone had a smile on their faces, she hesitated for a moment and did not take the initiative to challenge. After all, this is the starred Great Forest, not human society. It is completely irrational to have these emotional disputes here. Just when Meng Yun was thinking this way, Tang San, who was sitting cross-legged on the side, suddenly stood up with a look of surprise. He said to Zhao Wuji, who was not far away, "Teacher Zhao, after the battle with the soul beast just now, my soul power has now broken through to level 30. I also need a soul ring." Tang San's words shocked everyone. Originally, I thought that having Yun Feng was already abnormal, but I didn't expect another one to appear. A 12-year-old great soul master may be an incredible existence for ordinary soul masters, but the young men and women present would not feel strange, because they had all been one of them. However, they had never even heard of a 12-year-old soul master. Even Yu Tan, who is the strongest now and has a soul power of level 39, can't imagine what all this is. Breaking through level 30 means reaching another level of soul master, which means unlimited future. With the 3rd soul ring, the strength will enter a qualitative leap. The only one who was not surprised was Yun Feng. As he knew Tang San would break through, Yun Feng didn't feel any surprise. When the Dragon Lord Meng Shu and the Snake Lady Zhao Danxiang saw this, they directly forced each other to speak in a line. Meng Yun said, "Yun, look at the group of people to see if there are any boys you like. They are all geniuses." Meng Yun looked at his grandfather and grandmother, and subconsciously looked around the opposite side. Finally, he stopped at Yun Feng. It was not because of anything else, but simply because Yun Feng was handsome, and he was the strongest one among them. After seeing the expression of their granddaughter, the 2 old men smiled at each other, as if they thought of something, and followed her gaze to look at the boy with blue hair and black pupils. This is a rare genius. If he can join their family or the school of exotic beasts, then even after they die, there will be someone to help the entire family. Thinking of this, Dragon Lord Meng Shu walked directly in front of Yun Feng. Yun Feng looked at the old man in front of him, not knowing what he wanted to do. Seeing this, Zhao Wuji also walked from Tang San's side to Yun Feng's side, subconsciously guarding against something. Meng Shu glanced at Zhao Wuji and said with a smile, "Brother Zhao, there is no need to guard against me. I have no ill intentions. I just want to chat with this child." Zhao Wuji smiled at this, and then looked at Yun Feng. Seeing Yun Feng nodded, Zhao Wuji had no reason to continue to stop him. "I wonder if there is anything, Signor?" Yun Feng asked, and the smile on Meng Shu's old face squeezed the wrinkles on his face into ravines. "My friend, Can you come to the side and talk with me? Nothing happened that night. After a night of rest, everyone's energy has returned to its best state. The next morning, they continued to search for soul beasts, but this time Oscar was not the only one who got the soul beast. Tang San was also added. As for what Dragon Lord Meng Shu said to Yun Feng, no one present knew, because everyone's attention was on Tang San at that time. Only Zhu Zuqing, Ning Rong and Zhao Wu noticed something. Yun Feng seemed to have said something to Meng Shu, but they did not reach a consensus. But when they came back and asked Yun Feng also made a vague answer. Yun Feng naturally did not agree to Meng Shu's invitation, but he did not refuse directly. After all, the situation is stronger than people. Yun Feng did not want to offend anyone at this time, but just said that feelings need to be cultivated. However, after saying this, 3 more people joined the group. Meng Shu, Zhao Tangxian and Meng Ren did not leave directly. Instead, they followed Yun Feng and others' team and chatted happily along the way. Even Wuji himself did not expect that his group of 9 people had reached 12 people by now. Although the team has grown, the safety factor has also increased a lot, especially with the presence of Dragon Lord and Snake Lady. However, Wuji still had an attitude towards the hunting of soul beasts, which was to let his students do it themselves, and not allow Meng Shu and the Snake Lady to interfere. Chapter 110. The past. The group walked along the way, but did not go deep into the interior of the starred great forest. Wuji only led the group to search on the periphery. Although they encountered several thousand-year soul beasts along the way, those soul beasts were not suitable for Oscar and Tang San. The rest were all 100-year soul beasts. Although Yun Feng found many soul beasts suitable for Tang San and Oscar through Yin's perception, Yun Feng naturally could not tell them. 2 days passed, and although food supply was not a problem for everyone, living in the dangerous forest every day still made people highly nervous and more likely to feel tired. However, entering the starred great forest, it was precisely because of the existence of this crisis that the cooperation between the students gradually became tacit. Even without the help of Zhao Wuji, Meng Shu and Shipo, as long as the soul beasts were not over 1,000 years old, they would not pose any threat to their small group. Even if it was 1,000-year soul beast, as long as the age did not exceed too much, it could be killed. Tacit understanding requires constant cooperation in battles. This dangerous environment is obviously the best training. Being able to enter the Tandu Royal Academy has already proved the excellence of these students. With the guidance of Meng Shu and others, their soul power progress speed has not changed, but their practical experience and comprehensive strength have been constantly enhanced in a subtle way. Especially Yun Feng, Long Gong, Meng Shu and Shipo Zhao Tangxiang simply treat Yun Feng as their own grandson, which makes Meng Ren feel weird and has no idea what his grandparents are doing. They have been teaching Yun Feng, although Yun Feng is not very proficient, and each move is still relatively according to the routine. Now after getting guidance, a little enlightenment has also arisen in his heart. It turns out that it can be like this. Fighting experience is still insufficient. Night falls, and it is time to rest again. You can't light a fire in the Xingdu Great Forest. Although most soul beasts are afraid of fire, there are also a small number of soul beasts who like fire very much, and most of these small number of soul beasts are deadly. There was no need for Wuji to direct them. The male students were responsible for setting up temporary tents, and the female students were responsible for getting some food. The tent was very big. Yun Feng bought it specially. He didn't want to have any hardship in his life. Besides, the tent prepared by Shrek was very small. Wu, Zhu Zuqing and Ning Rong looked at it and said, "Zuqing, Rong, why don't you come with me to Zhao Feng's place to rest for a night? It's just cultivation. It's okay." Zhu Zuqing took a deep look in the direction of Yun Feng, with a hint of sadness in her eyes, and then shook her head. "No, Wu, Rong, if you want to go, go ahead. Don't worry about me." Looking at Zhu Zuqing like this, Wu and Ning Rong hesitated for a while, but still didn't go. After all, it's not good to leave Zhu Zuqing alone. Yun Feng didn't care so much. Sleeping and eating were both necessary for his cultivation, so after eating, he lay down and fell asleep. A day's action was too tiring. Although Yun Feng was in the tent, He was always paying attention to the outside. Yun's perception was released all the time. But Yun Feng didn't sleep for long, and came out directly. He let Ning Rong and the other girls go to his tent to sleep. After all, he didn't want to die inexplicably under the feet of the Titan giant ape. What if such a big body accidentally pressed down and he was crushed to death? And according to Yun Feng's observation during the day, this matter is not impossible. After Yun Feng called Ning Rong, Douluo, and Zhuzuking, he looked at Mengyun, who was still outside. After thinking about it, he said directly to Mengyun, "Miss Yun, why don't you go to my tent to rest for a while? After all, you just absorbed the soul ring during the day." After Mengyun glanced at Yun Feng, he slowly nodded and said softly, "Thank you." Yun Feng shook his head and said calmly, "It's okay, go." Mengyun was stunned, and then a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. After that, he walked directly into the tent. After seeing this scene, Meng Shu and Zhao Danxiang smiled at Yun Feng. When Tang San saw Yun Feng coming out, he silently gave up a position, his eyes full of confusion. After all, if it was any other spirit master, he could understand, but Yun Feng's words, he was a little puzzled. After all, in his impression, Yun Feng had never practiced seriously, and basically slept at night, and it was like this every day. He never broke his own principles, and now he took the initiative to come out. It was really puzzling. Yun Feng didn't care about Tang San's inner thoughts, but asked directly, "Tang San, you haven't found a spirit beast suitable for you in a few days. Are you anxious?" At this moment, Tang San, perhaps under the influence of the night, was not like he was in the past, but seemed extremely mature. He shook his head calmly, and then said, "Finding a spirit beast is a matter of luck, and there is no point in being anxious. I can wait." After hearing this, Dao Wuji, Meng Shu and Zhao Danxiang had a better understanding of Tang San. There was also a little appreciation in their eyes. As for Oscar, in their eyes, he was just that good. Although the talent is here, the character is too bad. In the absence of confidence, you actually dared to show your disdain to the strong. You are simply asking for your life. Only Meng Shu and Zhao Danxiang didn't care. Otherwise, in the Soul Master world, they wouldn't care so much. They couldn't kill you on the spot, but assassination and the like could be implemented. After all, there is an old saying in Yun Feng's previous life, "Don't be afraid of thieves stealing, but be afraid of thieves thinking about it." Meng Shu also sighed at this time. In fact, it's not completely impossible to find it, but now the Zhengdu Great Forest has begun to become depressed. Many years ago, I still remember how bustling it was here. At that time, although there were thousand-year-old soul beasts everywhere in the outer forest, there are much fewer soul beasts now. This seemed to evoke the memories of Zhao Wuji and Zhao Danxiang. Yes, when we were here, there were still many thousand-year-old soul beasts in the outer forest. Now the thousand-year-old soul beasts in the outer forest have become so rare that they are completely not of the same level. I don't know what happened. It's just a few decades. Yun Feng smiled beside him and said his own understanding. No matter what the reason is, it was caused by us. Although the soul beasts are ferocious, we humans are more ferocious than them, right? Meng Shu became a little interested when he heard Yun Feng's words. "Well, tell me in detail." Chapter 111. Desire is the original sin. Yun Feng did not keep the secret and directly expressed his understanding. In fact, this principle is very easy to understand. Although there are few soul masters, it only takes a few decades for a soul master to grow from the beginning of cultivation to a strong one. In these decades, a powerful soul master needs at least 6 soul rings to cultivate to the soul emperor. In other words, to hunt more than 6 soul beasts, there will be hundreds of years, thousands of years, or even 10,000 years. The cultivation of soul beasts is much more difficult than that of us humans, otherwise the strength would not be divided according to the years. Although there are many of them, if they continue to kill like this, the number of soul beasts will only continue to decrease, especially the powerful soul beasts, which will be one less after killing one. After many years, it is probably difficult to see more than 1,000 years of existence. In fact, this is what happened after Douluo. At that time, soul beasts were extremely rare, and even replaced by soul spirits. After hearing this, Dao Wuji and others were stunned for a moment. Then a passage suddenly appeared in his mind, which was the notice of the Wuhan Hall. After looking at each other, they instantly understood why the Spirit Hall would issue such a notice that would make Spirit Masters hate them. The Spirit Hall is really prepared for a rainy day, and has made great contributions to the sustainable development of Spirit Masters. But, who among Spirit Masters would think about this problem? Who doesn't want to make themselves stronger? Even if the Spirit Hall imposes restrictions, it will probably be useless. Yun Feng nodded when he heard this. Desire is the original sin. The greater impact is the aimless killing in order to obtain spirit bones. A Spirit Master only needs 9 spirit beasts in his lifetime. But how many spirit beasts does a Spirit Master have to hunt in his lifetime? And those who make a living by hunting spirit beasts will have to kill exponentially. In the long run, the profession of Spirit Masters may one day reach a point where there is no ring available. Yun Feng's words seemed to break and glue the 3 views of several people together. They had never thought about these things before, and now that Yun Feng said it directly, they immediately fell into deep doubt. Seeing this, Yun Feng smiled inwardly with contempt. It was so simple that it could affect the mind. Haha. And Yun Feng couldn't find a solution to this problem. There is a kind of mysterious rule among soul beasts. Since the fall of the dragon god, it has been going downhill. The god realm does not allow soul beasts to become gods. Didn't the deep-sea demon whale king, who has accumulated so much, become a god? What if the sea god is really much more powerful than the deep-sea demon whale king? What Yun Feng wants to say is not necessarily. After all, a simple truth is that the accumulation of several generations of others cannot compare to your talent. You know, the deep-sea demon whale king was already the peak combat power of this continent before the sea god became a god. And how long did it take for the sea god to become a god from the beginning of cultivation, according to Poseidon? So sometimes Yun Feng didn't want to say anything more. This world is so weird, and the dragon god is the same. Yun Feng shook his head indifferently and broke free from his thoughts. After doubting their lives, Meng Shu and others still reacted. Perhaps it was because the topic was too heavy, and none of them had the ability to change the situation. Who could predict what would happen in the future? Their thoughts were the same as Yun Feng's. Looking at the heavy atmosphere, Meng Shu said with a smile, "Okay, let's not talk about this. This is not something you and I can control. At most, we can just kill less." Dao Wuji wanted to say something, but he remained silent in the end. After all, he was not like Flanders who had a livelihood. Although Shrek Academy also had teachers' salaries, but he could not control his expenses, so when he had nothing to do, he would do some poaching and try his luck to see if he could get a soul bone or something. So Dao Wuji did a lot of killing. However, due to Meng Shu's high strength and the fact that he was helping himself and others, he did not say anything. Yun Feng was about to nod his head, but Yun in his mind suddenly heard a hurried voice. "Be careful, there is danger." The moment Yun Feng heard this, his mind was startled, and he instantly knew what was going on. But Yun Feng reacted quickly. In fact, this was also an opportunity for Yun Feng. An opportunity to intercept the soul bone of the human-faced demon spider. But compared to Yun Feng, Dao Wuji, Meng Shu, and Zhao Tangxiang all activated their martial spirits at the first time. The extremely cold breath spewed out from the 3 of them, which was the manifestation of the soul power running to the extreme. "Everyone leave the tent, quickly, come out." Dao Wuji roared, and his deep voice was transmitted into the tent. Meng Shu and Zhao Tangxiang also went directly to the tent where Meng Ren was. Although everyone was sleeping, they did not take off their clothes because they were in the Zhengdu Great Forest, but slept with their clothes on. After a few days of cooperation, the students had already reached a certain tacit understanding and quickly got out of the tent. After hearing the eager emotion in Dao Wuji's voice, everyone did not have time to think too much. After coming out, seeing that several people looked like they were facing a great enemy, they immediately realized the seriousness of the problem. Without any doubt, they summoned all their martial spirits and followed behind them, ready to fight. After Meng Shu and Zhao Tangxiang looked at each other, they felt a strong aura locking on them. It was impossible to escape. They could completely suppress a spirit master of their level. They knew how powerful the other party was. So in a simple glance, It seemed that they had confirmed each other's intentions, and they said directly to Yun Feng and Mengren, who were still beside them, "If there is any situation later, don't worry about us. Leave here immediately, and get out of the Xingdu Great Forest first. Dao Feng, when I'm not around, remember to help Aryan." Mengren's face turned pale when she heard what her grandfather said. It seemed that she thought of something. Just when she was about to speak, she was pulled by Yun Feng. He looked at her seriously and signaled her not to speak. Mengren opened her lips, and at this moment, they suddenly saw a strange scene. Following the gaze of Mengshu and others, two tall trees suddenly slowly separated to the sides, and a huge figure walked out from there silently. Chapter 112 Titan. Seeing this big guy, everyone seemed to stop breathing, and everyone finally understood why the Soul Master team with Mengshu and others was worried about what exactly. It was like a mountain, with dark hair all over its body shining faintly under the faint light of the stars and the moon. Although it was on all fours, its shoulder height was definitely more than 7 meters. If it stood upright, I'm afraid it would be more than 15 meters tall. From the outside, it looked like a monkey and a chimpanzee, except for a pair of lantern-sized eyes that flashed like a yellow crystal. Its whole body was pitch black. In the night, if it wasn't moving, you couldn't even see its body clearly. This big guy's body was so majestic to the point of being incredible. Not only was it huge, but every part of its body was covered with strong muscles that were more terrifying than granite, protruding like a small hill. And such a huge guy didn't make any sound while walking, not even the sound of breathing. Seeing it, besides Yun Feng, the first person to recognize it was Tang San. With the knowledge that Yao Gang had instilled in him, he almost immediately identified the species of this big guy. It's actually the king of the forest, the Titan giant ape. Even Tang San, who was always calm, had a different voice at this time. Only Zhao Wu's eyes became anxious, but she couldn't say anything now. She could only worry. After all, this was no joke. If the Titan giant ape attacked, almost everyone present would die. Zhao Wu knew the strength of her brother very well. The Titan giant ape appeared in any soul beast forest and was definitely a dominant existence. No soul beast dared to offend it, because the result would inevitably be death. Even if it was only a 100-year level Titan giant ape, it could even compete with other 10,000-year level soul beasts. They have unparalleled strength and speed, and there are almost no flaws in attack and defense. The most terrifying thing is that they can also perform skills similar to soul skills. No one knows what the real skills of the Titan giant ape are, because the humans who have seen these skills are already dead. Although they are all 10,000-year-old soul beasts, their strengths are definitely different. This is a matter of their own attributes. The Titan ape is obviously one of the few soul beasts standing at the top of the pyramid among all soul beasts. The terror it can bring is almost the nightmare of all soul masters. I don't know how many soul masters coveted the power of the Titan ape and hoped to kill it as their own soul ring, but all of those who had this idea and tried hard to realize it have disappeared from this world. Among the known soul masters, it seems that only one person has hunted a Titan ape, and only that one person. The Titan ape is not only powerful, but also has wisdom that is no less than that of humans. In the forest, it is the absolute king. When Mengshu and others saw the Titan ape in front of them, they couldn't help but tremble under this power. This is the instinctive reaction of the creature. It has nothing to do with other things. It is the fear from the level of life. Respected king of the forest, we have no intention of offending you. If this is your territory, we are willing to withdraw immediately. Mengshu was the strongest person here, so he spoke to show his attitude. Mengshu also knew that the Titan ape could understand human words, especially the Titan ape in front of him, who was so strong, and had obviously cultivated for more than 10,000 years. He really couldn't think of anyone else among the soul beasts who could be more powerful than the one in front of him. The Titan ape didn't pay attention to Mengshu's words. It just made a simple move that made everyone's heart rise to their throats. Because it took a step forward. After seeing it, Yun Feng subconsciously moved a little further away from Zhao Wu. He knew that the giant beast in front of him was coming for Zhao Wu, and he didn't want to be hurt in the chaos. And he also wanted to take this opportunity to complete his own business. As for the Titan ape, although it was just a simple step, with its majestic body, This one-step difference had already shortened the distance with the people of Shrek Academy and Tandu Royal Academy. The brains of several people were working rapidly at this time, and the most common words were only 3 words. Wait for death. What should we do? Yes, what should we do now? Although several people are self-reliant in their strength, Daowuji knows very well that the Titan giant ape in front of him is definitely more terrifying than the peerless dragon snake couple. He would rather face a titled Douluo than face such a soul beast king. After all, it's not like he hasn't seen a titled Douluo before, and he just taught him a lesson. But soul beasts are different, and their hatred for humans is no joke. Just as Feng said before, the Soul Master's indiscriminate killing of soul beasts has made all soul beasts full of hatred for humans. This Soul Beast King is obviously no exception. In fact, from Feng's God's perspective, the Titan giant ape will not hurt them. But Feng didn't want to see this scene. Just when everyone was still thinking about what to do, Feng took the initiative to stand up. His expression was frozen, and he shouted to everyone, "We can't just wait to die quietly." Feng knew that the Titan ape in front of him would never harm them, and the reason he did this was to break up the formation. Go find the human-faced demon spider. Anyway, with Hyun's perception, he can avoid the invasion of some soul beasts. Then, under the gaze of everyone, the soul ring began to shine, and the 2 yellow soul rings bloomed with a strange color. The Titan ape's huge eyes also revealed a hint of strange color. It was beyond its expectation that this tiny human in front of it dared to be the first to attack it, but it didn't care much. Feng's action also awakened Daowuji and others. Resisting means death, and not resisting is also death, but there is at least a glimmer of hope for resistance. Mengshu and Zhao Danxian had already realized it before, and now after hearing Feng's words, they laughed directly. "Old lady, I didn't expect that none of our juniors have the courage." "Yes, old man, our lives have been worthwhile. Let's do something for our granddaughter." After saying this, he grabbed Feng and Mengyun, who had summoned martial spirits like tentacles around them, and threw them into the distance. This interrupted Feng's tickling attack. Then he shouted in a deep voice, "I'll block it, and you leave here immediately. I'm afraid I can't hold on for long, so you must move quickly." Chapter 113, Plunder. The soul ring was shining brightly at this moment, and Daowuji knew that this was not the time to watch the show. He took a deep breath, and the light of the halo on his body shone brightly, and he rushed towards the Titan giant ape. The first, second, third, and fifth, 4 halos flashed at the same time. Facing a powerful opponent, Akala directly used 4 of his 7 soul skills. The same was true for Mengshu and Zhao Danxian. How dazzling the light of the soul rings was. Akala protected his body, and gravity control was fully covered with Daowuji as the sender to the Titan giant ape. Gravity compression and gravity control were fully launched to restrict the Titan giant ape's body as much as possible. At the same time, his palms also swung up, and the powerful Vajra palm was fully activated. The powerful energy fluctuations were suddenly released. Daowuji borrowed the power from a towering tree next to him to fly into the air, swung his hands up, and rushed to the Titan giant ape without sparing his soul power. The Titan giant ape originally had no intention of taking action, but when he saw Daowuji and others attacking, he was immediately furious. When Daimabai and others saw Feng and Mengyun being thrown out, they immediately wanted to retreat. With the escape of Daimabai, Oscar and others, Juzuking and others naturally did not stay long. They grabbed Zhaowu and Ningrongarong who were still in a daze and left quickly. Tang San and others naturally could not stay there stupidly. Facing such an existence, they could not even be called opponents, so they decisively chose to run away. The Titan giant ape over there was already very annoyed. When did even this level of trash spirit master dare to attack it? In addition, Daowu's departure made it even more angry. However, when Ningrongarong was leaving, she was worried that the speed was not fast enough, and the dazzling 7 treasures glazed tower spun out from Ningrongarong's palm. The speed was added to the few people she cared about. Ningrongarong's spirit skills were not ranged, but could only be added to a few people. It increased with the improvement of spirit power. The 7 treasures are famous. One is power. The 7 treasures are famous. The second is speed. Along with Ning Rong-arong's short and crisp voice, 4 rays of light shot out at the same time, directly adding to Yun Feng, Dao Wu and Zhuzuking. The most powerful feature of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tower martial spirit is that it ignores the basis of amplification. Ning Rong-arong can now amplify by 30%, that is to say, no matter how strong the amplified object is, she can do it. Feeling the power in the body, for the first time, Yun Feng realized the horror of the 7 Treasures Glazed sect. Before, I had only heard about it. But now after receiving the blessing, I know that the 7 Treasures Glazed sect is not the world's first auxiliary weapon martial spirit for nothing. The assistance of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tower is definitely a kind of enjoyment. The power and speed are instantly increased by 30%. How wonderful is that feeling? This is the sense of power that Yun Feng pursues. But before he could enjoy it too much, a scene that frightened everyone appeared. The moment Zhao Wuji hit the Titan Giant Ape with his 2 palms, his whole body was bounced out like a cannonball. Meng Shu and Zhao Tangxian were also slapped and blown away like garbage. Then, the king of the forest roared. After hearing this roar, Yun Feng felt that his ears seemed to be buzzing and his brain was in chaos. He turned around reluctantly and could clearly see a layer of black air waves bursting out from the Titan Ape. Although it was night, everyone could clearly see this layer of air waves. Then, whether it was Zhao Wuji and others who were lying on the ground or Yun Feng and others who were running, they were all thrown into the air by the terrifying black air waves and fell down. Meng Shu and others did not play any role at all. Under this air wave, the surrounding trees were directly cut off, and the ground became bare. And because they were too close, they couldn't help but spit out blood when they were blown away. Seeing that Zhuzuking was still dragging Zhao Wu and Ning Rong-arong to run, the Titan Ape seemed to be enraged. At the same time as the black air wave burst out, its huge body finally made a violent movement. It flew up at a speed that was almost indistinguishable to the naked eye. Its huge body blocked the moonlight, and the black shadow fell from the sky, pressing down in the direction where everyone was running away. Seeing this scene, Meng Shu and others were too late to run to save people. Although Yun Feng had been prepared for the speed of the Titan Ape, he still underestimated the terrifying king of the forest in front of him. The extremely huge body flew over at an unreal speed, and the horror of the mountain pressing down on everyone made everyone feel breathless. At this critical moment, Yun Feng's mind suddenly burst out with a powerful mental shock, pulling Yun Feng's consciousness back. If this blow was pressed down, those who were unlucky would probably die here. At this critical moment, Yun Feng was the first to react. Yun's alarm is still useful. He didn't know what the Titan Ape was thinking, but at this moment, with his life in danger, he couldn't care so much. The martial spirit unfolded, the spirit ring shone, and dense blue-silver grass-like tentacles suddenly began to spread from behind Yun Feng and shot towards Zhao Wu. If this situation is far away from Zhao Wu, who knows what will happen? Yun Feng dare not gamble on this thing. The moment the vine tentacles touched Zhao Wu, they also brought Zhuzuking and Ning Rong-arong back. After thinking about it, looking at Mengren who was alone, he also brought her over. The speed of more than a dozen tentacles was very fast. Perhaps the Titan Ape saw where Zhao Wu was and subconsciously turned away. This also made Yun Feng and others not the first target to be hit. Daima Bai also reacted at this time. He didn't have time to think about it. He directly slapped the ground with his tiger palm and grabbed it. A huge pit was dug out. Then he took the rest of the people and hid in the pit. He knew that no matter how huge the Titan Ape's body was, it would fall in an area. As long as he was below the ground, he would naturally avoid being crushed to death. And the deep pit on the ground was used for this purpose. To put it another way, even if he was unfortunately hit, the impact would not be that great, because Oscar and Ma Hongjun came over, and they were above him. As for Yun Feng, because of the many tentacles, he quickly left the impact range. Bang! The Titan Ape landed on the ground with a bang. For some reason, the Titan Ape did not even feel any pressure on everyone at the moment of falling. It was just the shockwave caused by its huge body that made them all dizzy. Although Yun Feng and the others were not injured, they were also directly overturned by the air wave under the impact. Then a big hand grabbed them, and Yun Feng, Ning Rong-arong, Dao Wu, Zhuzuking, and Mengren were all in it. Chapter 114 Trance. Because of Yun Feng's location, the Titan Ape grabbed everyone except Zhao Wu. After all, they had tied up the girls with blue silver grass and took them away. Meng Shu and Zhao Danxian were furious when they saw their granddaughter and Yun Feng being caught. They didn't care about their injuries and drawed. The light of the soul ring became extremely dazzling at this moment. Dragon and snake attack. The dragon staff and snake spear collided at this moment, and then the soul power formed a blue-gold dragon in the sky, rushing straight towards the Titan Ape. The Titan Ape looked at the attack in front of him and captured it with one hand. Then, under the gaze of everyone, he picked it up and threw it left and right. Zhao Wuji saw this situation, so he naturally didn't dare to be careless. He roared to the sky, and the seventh soul ring on his body suddenly burst into a deep black. The strong black light instantly spread all over Zhao Wuji's body. Then, his body began to undergo tremendous changes. After being possessed by the mighty King Kong bear, Zhao Wuji's already extremely strong body swelled up rapidly like a balloon. In the blink of an eye, his height exceeded 5 meters, his muscles swelled up in an exaggerated manner, and his brown-yellow hair grew wildly. He turned into a real giant bear. When his body completely turned into a bear, his brown-yellow hair changed color instantly, shining with golden light. Zhao Wuji, who had transformed into a bear, rushed towards the mighty King Kong bear holding Zhao Wu's arm without hesitation. All soul masters with beast martial spirits have similar 7th soul skills after reaching level 70, that is, the martial spirit true body. Just as level 30 is the bottleneck of soul masters, so is level 70. The strength of beast martial spirit soul masters with martial spirit true bodies will be greatly improved. At the same time, this skill is also their magic weapon. What Zhao Wuji used at this time was his 7th soul ring skill, which is also the most domineering and side effect soul ring skill, the martial spirit true body. What he showed was the body of the martial spirit mighty King Kong bear. Once the spirit body is used, all spirit skills below the 7th ring can be used without restriction for 30 minutes, with the power being 150% of the original. The spirit body of the powerful King Kong bear also has a terrifying attribute of increasing defense by 200%. This is Zhao Wuji's last resort. The Dragon Master Meng Shu and the Snake Lady Zhao Danxian also directly used their spirit bodies, and the black spirit rings on their bodies burst into dazzling light. The dragon in the hands of the Titan Giant Ape also became extremely powerful at this moment. Under the control of the two, it turned its head and bit the arm of the Titan Giant Ape fiercely. Of course, every time the spirit body is used, the spirit master's own attributes will be weakened by 50%, and it will take 7 days to recover. Therefore, unless it is absolutely necessary, spirit masters above level 70 will never use their spirit bodies easily. The 3 people now are really forced to have no choice. However, the 3 people who used the spirit body immediately attracted the attention of the Titan Giant Ape. After all, the 3 people in this state can already bring a little threat to it. After Tang San saw Zhao Wu and Yun Feng being captured, he poured out his hidden weapons as if they were free. Ding 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 ding. In a series of dense crisp sounds, all the hidden weapons flying towards the Titan Ape's eyes were blocked by its eyelids, just like forging iron. At the same time, the Titan Ape's body suddenly stood up, grabbed Yun Feng and others' hands to avoid Zhao Wuji's attack, and its other strong arm held the dragon and collided with Zhao Wuji's body. Boom! Zhao Wuji, who used the martial soul true body skill, was indeed strong, with his defense increased by 200% and the body of the powerful diamond bear. He was not directly blown away this time. Even so, as a power-type soul master, he was still far behind the Titan Ape in strength. Amidst the loud bang, Zhao Wuji staggered back 7 or 8 steps before he could barely stand still. The Titan Giant Ape was in the dark, but the giant dragon formed by the martial soul fusion skill in its hand was knocked unconscious, and it roared again. The black hair wave blew Tang San and his hidden weapon, who were releasing his hidden weapon with all his strength, away, and hit a big tree heavily. However, the attack of the 3 people was not completely ineffective. The dragon also left a small wound on the wrist of the Titan Giant Ape, which used a trace of blood. Seeing that the Titan Giant Ape was about to attack, The captured Zhao Wu also shouted loudly at this moment, "No!" The Titan giant ape looked down at Zhao Wu in his grasp, and roared again. This time, he ignored Zhao Wuji, who pounced on him again, and threw the giant dragon formed by the martial soul fusion skill of Meng Shu and Zhao Tanxian to the side, and then suddenly took off. With just one rise and fall, he was already 100 meters away, disappearing into the woods. The three wanted to chase after him, but they were not fast players, so they could only give up helplessly in the face of this situation. The strong shock force that the Titan ape had just brought to them almost broke the three people's martial spirits. At this time, their soul power was greatly consumed. Even if they chased after him, it would be useless. But how could Long Gong and Meng Shu be willing? There was their granddaughter up there, their only granddaughter. Zhao Wuji was also in a state of confusion. Who did the Titan ape catch? The princess of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect, the granddaughter of the peerless dragon snake, and the genius Zhao Wu, Zhu Zuqing and Yun Feng. Any one of them would be explosive if put outside. Although Daimabai and others ran early and hid, the air wave was no joke. They were directly shaken up from the ground, and then hit the trees in the ground, and fainted. If this was a team composed of soul masters, it would be a great blessing for someone to be alive when facing the existence of the Titan ape, the king of the forest. However, they were not a team of spirit masters, but students, a group of geniuses, and the forces behind them were bigger than each other. Meng Shu and Zhao Tanxian could not accept the fact that their granddaughter was taken away. Enduring the injuries and pain, they supported each other and rushed directly to the direction where the Titan ape disappeared. Zhao Wuji wanted to persuade them, but in the end he just sighed. Meng Shu and the others could not accept it, and Tang San could not accept it either. Not to mention Zhao Wu, even Yun Feng's years of getting along with him had shaken his mind, as if he had lost the world if he had lost these two people. Chapter 115 Zhao Wu, Ming. Moreover, the aura emanating from Yun Feng recently made him feel very comfortable. Although it was a bit difficult to say, Tang San truly felt the warmth, and even the maternal aura. That aura of the same origin could not be concealed. Although Tang San did not know why, enduring the severe pain in his body, Tang San climbed up from the ground. He wanted to stand firm, but he spat out another mouthful of blood with a wow. The air waves released from the Titan giant ape gave people a sense of irresistible power. Although Tang San was still strong, the impact of the air waves made his internal organs churn, as if all his internal organs had moved. Fortunately, Xuan Gong itself has the magical effect of health preservation. He did not need to deliberately drive it, and it was already rapidly calming the churning blood in his body. Silently, he took out a few sausages made by Oscar from the 24 Bridges Moonlight Night. He wanted to say something, but he did not say it after all. Then he swallowed the recovery sausage without hesitation. Under the effect of the sausage's recovery power, the injuries in his body were relieved a little. Oscar's recovery sausage is the first soul ring skill after all. Although it has a certain healing and physical recovery effect, it does not heal all injuries instantly. Healing requires a process, and the main body also needs to recover. At this time, Tang San will not care about these things. Zhao Wuji can no longer maintain his martial soul body at this time. He showed his main body with a livid face. How could the Titan giant ape appear outside the starred great forest? I'm sorry everyone, it's all my fault. I couldn't stop it and let it capture Yun Feng and others. No one would think that Yun Feng and others who were captured by the Titan giant ape still had a chance of survival. And Zhao Wuji didn't think so either. Only Zhao Wuji and Tang San were awake. Everyone else fainted. The king of the forest, the Titan giant ape. This title is no joke. The peerless dragon snake and Zhao Wuji had no ability to resist it. This alone proved its strength. The Titan ape was running fast in the forest. It seemed that he had memorized the terrain of the entire Xingdu Great Forest. No matter what obstacles were ahead, he would not slow down at all. He would not really hit anything. His huge body showed amazing flexibility. Every leap could advance 100 meters. Although there were many soul beasts in the Xingdu Great Forest, all those who sensed its breath would retreat. Who dared to block the way forward of this terrifying king of the forest? Even though the Titan ape was not a speed-type soul beast, under this extremely terrifying burst of power, the dragon man Meng Shu and the snake woman Zhao Tanxian behind him still could not catch up. In just a few minutes, they were completely thrown away without a trace. Yun Feng looked at the women who were caught in his palms with him, and said with full of apology, "It's all my fault. I hurt you." Listening to Yun Feng's words, although the women were tied to Yun Feng, no one blamed Yun Feng at this moment, because if it weren't for Yun Feng just now, they might have been crushed into meat patties. However, in this situation, the girls had no time to be shy, especially Zhu Zuqing and Ning Rongrong. Their eyes were full of fear. Only Zhao Wu's mood was a little more stable, but it was not good. After all, she had caused such a big disaster. She didn't know how to explain it. After all, the current matter has far exceeded her expectations. Although Yun Feng was very panicked at this time, he still tried his best to get close to Zhao Wu. After all, Zhao Wu's side is the safest place. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zuqing also recovered from the panic at this time. After watching Yun Feng take a deep breath, he said, "It's okay, but I don't know where the Titan Giant Ape is going to take us." Zhu Zuqing is worthy of being someone who has experienced many life-and-death crises. After a brief shock, she suppressed her inner panic and began to think about ways to escape, but after thinking about it, she only felt despair. As for Ning Rongrong, when she was about to say something, she burst into tears. There was no way. Ning Rongrong, who had grown up in a honeypot, had never seen such a scene. Even if her grandpa Jian and grandpa Gu came, it would not have any effect at all. To be honest, Ning Rongrong regretted it a little at this time. Why did she come here? Yun Feng looked at Ning Rongrong, who was crying constantly, and after thinking about it, he comforted her softly. "It's okay, Rongrong, we are all with you. We will be fine." Although Yun Feng only said two very simple words, it comforted Ning Rongrong's heart a little. She went from crying to choking softly, and her head was buried directly on Yun Feng's chest. Her body couldn't stop shaking. After all, the Titan Giant Ape grabbed Yun Feng and the four girls in his palm. Although Mengren was very panicked at this time, Yun Feng's previous words still made her say something. "Don't blame you. If it weren't for you, we would have become meat patties before." Yun Feng also sighed at this time. This situation was beyond his expectations. After all, in the expectation, the Titan Giant Ape would at most take Zhao Wu away, and now he and others have all been taken away. Yun Feng had originally thought that when Zhao Wu was captured, he would take the initiative to leave the team and go hunting the human-faced demon spider, to intercept the opportunity that originally belonged to Tang San. But now, Yun Feng didn't know what to do. He didn't even have the mood to feel the four beautiful bodies around him, although that kind of touch is not known to outsiders. But just when Yun Feng was thinking about this time, suddenly a strong soul power, accompanied by a roar, Yun Feng and others fainted directly. The last thought before fainting, Yun Feng's heart flashed a trace of absurdity. The Titan Giant Ape should not abandon himself and others directly in the wild. This is the starred Great Forest. But before fainting, Yun Feng said something to Yin in his mind. That is to wake him up after the Titan Giant Ape leaves. After Zhao Wu saw that everyone had fainted, she said directly to the Titan Ape, "Erming, are they okay? Did you cause any harm to them?" After hearing what Zhao Wu said, Erming shook his huge head and said in a muffled voice, "It's okay, they just fainted for a short time, and they will be fine after a while." After Erming put Yun Feng and others on the ground, Zhao Wu checked them and felt relieved. Looking at the squatting Erming, Zhao Wu skillfully jumped onto Erming's shoulder and said to Erming, "Erming, what do you want to see me about this time?" If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116, Hunting the Human-Faced Demonic Spider. Erming scratched his head, thought for a while, and then said, "Da Ming, and I miss you." Zhao Wu was actually a little angry, but after hearing this answer, she was silent for a while. After a while, Zhao Wu said, "I'm sorry, Erming. I actually miss you too." Zhao Wu was also very abrupt when she saw it today, but in that situation, she could not explain to the Titan Ape in front of her, so she could only use special methods to tell it again and again not to hurt people. But in the end, She was still taken out by the Titan ape, although Zhao Wu knew that it was worried about her. The current situation was definitely not what Zhao Wu wanted to see. In particular, Yun Feng's injury made her very worried. Fortunately, after looking at Yun Feng, the injury on his body was not very serious, and she knew that Ming was holding back. When the Titan ape Zhao Wu said, the light in the lantern-sized giant eyes flickered, but his expression was unusually gentle, and the corners of his mouth were directly cracked, obviously very happy. It's okay, Zhao Wu nodded and continued, Ming, if I come to the forest again in the future, you must not act rashly if you feel my breath, otherwise it will be very troublesome. Ming listened to Zhao Wu's words and hesitated a little. He knew that Zhao Wu went to the human world to gain experience, so that she could grow faster, but missing someone is something that cannot be suppressed, just like when Zhao Wu and Tang San graduated early and missed Yun Feng. I know, Zhao Wu looked up at the Titan giant ape and smiled. Ming, is Daming okay? The Titan giant ape nodded. Zhao Wu glanced at Yun Feng and others lying on the ground, then looked at Ming, and finally said to Ming, leave a breath here to prevent other soul beasts from coming. I will go with you to see Daming, and then come back. By the way, hurry up. Hearing this, the Titan giant ape was as excited as a child. Then a dull roar suddenly came out of his mouth. Its voice didn't sound loud, but it could be heard for 1,000 meters. All the soul beasts within this range were frightened and quickly left their territory and fled outside. Zhao Wu looked at Yun Feng and patted Ming on the shoulder. Ming seemed to have received some instructions. After pulling off a little fur from his chest, he caught another soul beast of 10,000 years old and told them not to let them be eaten by soul beasts. Facing a soul beast of the level of the Titan giant ape, the 10,000-year-old soul beast naturally dared not disobey. Some of the classes among soul beasts are much more serious than those in the human world. After doing all this, Ming took Zhao Wu and quickly jumped to the core area of the Xingdu Great Forest and left here quickly. Not long after the Titan giant ape and Zhao Wu left, Yun Feng's eyelashes blinked a few times, and then under the call of a yin, he quickly woke up. Moreover, a yin used his soul bones absorbed from Yun Feng's body and the surrounding blue-silver grass to continuously provide him with life energy, which stimulated him to wake up. The soul beast hiding in the dark to protect Yun Feng also had a trace of confusion in its eyes. The Titan giant ape seemed to have only told them to protect them from being eaten by soul beasts, and did not seem to say to interfere with their actions. The soul beast, which was not very intelligent, ignored what Yun Feng did. It continued to lie in the dark and observe. In fact, the chest hair left by the Titan giant ape was enough to protect its safety. But Zhao Wu was not very reassured. After Yun Feng woke up, he did not get up immediately. After all, Yin had told Yun Feng in the Sea of Consciousness that there was a soul beast in the dark, and Zhao Wu and the Titan giant ape had disappeared. After asking Yin, he learned that this soul beast should not hurt him, so he was relieved. Then he pretended to stand up as if nothing had happened, as if he had not noticed the soul beast in the dark. Looking at the women lying on the ground, Yun Feng smiled and left directly. However, he did not take the chest hair left by the Titan giant ape. He was going to hunt souls, and this breath would scare away other soul beasts directly. After Yun Feng looked around, he used his fourth soul skill under Yin's guidance, and then flew in the sky, avoiding one soul beast after another, and continued to follow Yin's instructions to the place where the human-faced demon spider was. After searching for a long time, Yin's voice sounded at the right time. Not far ahead, the human-faced demon spider is there. After hearing this, Yun Feng's eyes flashed with a glimmer. After so long, I finally found it. However, Yun Feng did not rush forward, but carefully took out his soul guide Desert Eagle. You must know that the current human-faced demon spider has not been injured by Mengshu in the original timeline. It is in a complete state at this time, and according to the description in the original timeline, to obtain this soul bone, the human-faced demon spider must be in extreme resentment before it can be produced. When Yun Feng thought of this, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. After Yun Feng continued to fly for a while, he soon heard a sound. The rustling sound was like someone changing clothes, or the rubbing of leaves. Then, he saw the originator of the sound. This guy who suddenly appeared was black, just like the titan ape before. However, compared with the titan ape, its body was much smaller, but compared with its own species, it was surprisingly large. What appeared in front of Yun Feng was a spider, a strange big spider with a main body diameter of more than 1.5 meters and 8 spear-like long legs of more than 3 meters. The whole body was black and shiny, and the front end of the long legs was slender. Every step forward pierced the ground silently, showing how sharp it was. Yun Feng found it, and it seemed to have found Yun Feng too. The 8 long legs moved rapidly, even bringing a series of phantoms, and it came to Yun Feng in the blink of an eye. 2 of the front legs were instantly raised and stabbed directly at Yun Feng's head. The lifting of the front legs inevitably led to the body rising up, just in time for Yun Feng to see its abdomen. The moment he saw this, Yun Feng knew that he had not found the wrong soul beast. Yun Feng dodged to the side without hesitation, avoiding the attack of the long-legged spider, but he took a breath of cold air. It was really amazing. There were some white lines on the spider's lower abdomen, which formed a sharp contrast with its black body, and these white lines formed a ferocious human face. A total of 8 small eyes flashing with faint purple light were closely attached to its lower abdomen. Chapter 117 Massacre. It was night, and ordinary people would not be able to see these. Seeing the ferocious human face, Yun Feng thought of many titles for the spider in front of him. The nightmare of small soul beasts, the existence that devours life, the object of hatred of all soul beasts, the terrifying evil killer. These titles are used to describe the long-legged spider in front of him. Its name is the human-faced demon spider. Among soul beasts, it is also a terrifying existence. Of course, compared with the titan giant ape, it is obviously not on the same level. However, this human-faced demon spider is a creature that even soul beasts fear. It has a solid shell, extremely fast speed, 8 long legs with extremely strong penetrating power and poisonous, and the most terrifying thing is its spider web. The spider webs of ordinary spiders are all spit out, but it is different. Its spider web is directly sprayed out. Not only is it extremely sticky, but it is also extremely tough. It is accompanied by a terrifying neurotoxic poison. Ordinary small soul beasts can only become its food. According to Yun Feng's understanding of the human-faced demon spider, if you want to hunt it, you must have a powerful soul master nearby. The spider web spit out by the human-faced demon spider is not only instantaneous, but also can cover an area 10 times its own, making it almost impossible to dodge. Even if a powerful soul master is covered by it, it will take time to break free, and this time is enough for it to do many things. Judging from its appearance, it has obviously cultivated for 1,000 years. The spider web spitting of the human-faced demon spider can be performed 3 times a day. Generally speaking, the first action it takes to see its prey is to spit spider webs. Facing a human-faced demon spider in its full state, Yun Feng is honestly under great pressure. After all, the human-faced demon spider can make countless mistakes, but he cannot make a mistake once. As long as he makes a mistake once and is hit by its spider web, he will have almost no room for maneuver. After all, Yun is not very powerful now, and can only play a supporting role at most. Of course, these thoughts all appeared in Yun Feng's mind in the flash of lightning that flashed from his body. When he stabilized his body again, the blue silver king rose directly from the ground, and countless thick giant grass leaves suddenly wrapped around the body of the human-faced demon spider. Yun Feng took the desert eagle in his hand and aimed at one of the 8 spider legs of the human-faced demon spider. He fired a shot. Like a muffled thunder, it exploded directly. Bang! Hiss! The hissing sound came directly from the mouth of the human-faced demon spider. That kind of mournful cry made Yun Feng overjoyed. Looking at the desert eagle in his hand, he was extremely happy in his heart. After all, what he wanted to do was to make the human-faced demon spider die in extreme resentment. The reason why he didn't attack the weakness of the human-faced demon spider was this idea. After the mournful cry, the human-faced demon spider looked at Yun Feng deeply, and its compound eyes were full of hatred and madness. The 7 spider legs began to crawl frantically, and the previous one was directly broken at the joint by Yun Feng's shot. It can no longer move. Seeing this, Yun Feng was a little panicked in his heart, but he was still very calm and continued to climb his flying height. In the blink of an eye, it had already flown to a height of 20 meters. The human-faced demon spider looked at Yun Feng flying in the sky and raised the strange weapon in his hand again. He could no longer bear it. He released a spider web directly from his abdomen. A spider web covering a range of more than 10 meters was almost instantaneous. The speed was extremely fast, but Yun Feng had expected this scene long ago. As the killer move of the human-faced demon spider, how could Yun Feng not be on guard? The giant blue silver king rose directly from the ground and blocked the spider web of the human-faced demon spider. Although the body of the blue silver king was rotten in an instant, it still blocked it. When the human-faced demon spider saw this scene, the madness in its compound eyes became stronger. 2 more consecutive spider webs were spit out directly. When Yun Feng saw this scene, he also released his first soul skill. Dozens of giant blue-silver kings blocked in front of him, and Yun Feng took this opportunity to fire 2 more shots in the gap of the blue-silver king martial spirit. The target was still the spider leg of the human-faced demon spider. Crack! That was the sound of the shell breaking, and juice kept dripping from the body of the human-faced demon spider. Looking at the purple light on the falling spider legs, Yun Feng knew that this thing could not be touched. The long legs were attached to the corrosive purple light, plus the mental paralysis toxins. Not to mention being stabbed directly. Even if it was contaminated a little, it would be fatal to Yun Feng. As an evil killer, the human-faced demon spider used this method to devour countless soul beasts and soul masters who went deep into the starred great forest. The remaining 6 small eyes under the abdomen were already flickering with dim light. With 3 out of 8 gone, the body of the human-faced demon spider could still remain stable, but its speed was much slower than before, and the killing moves were basically used up. Seeing that most of the danger had disappeared, Yun Feng began to think in his heart about how to torture the human-faced demon spider in front of him. And at the moment when Yun Feng was thinking, the human-faced demon spider, whose brain had been blinded by hatred, jumped high with its only remaining 5 legs without any hesitation. The huge jumping ability only reached the sky above Yun Feng in an instant. The human-faced demon spider looked at the enemy and food so close, and its long legs still stabbed down, wanting to kill Yun Feng in one fell swoop and make him its food. A soul master with soul power and soul rings is also a great tonic for soul beasts. It can increase their cultivation for many years. Unfortunately, the human-faced demon spider miscalculated this time. After all, it is not a high-level soul beast with enough wisdom, so how can it compare with humans in terms of intelligence? Yun Feng looked at the behemoth in front of him, and did not panic at all. Instead, he dropped a body position instantly when the spider leg stabbed down, making it pierce the air. Yun Feng, who folded his wings, went to the ground at a very fast speed. The desert eagle in his hand aimed again, this time at the abdomen of the human-faced demon spider. The human-faced demon spider, who noticed the intention of the human in front of him, panicked immediately. Although it is not very smart, it clearly knows where its weaknesses are, so it quickly folded its spider legs and protected its abdomen. After seeing this scene, Yun Feng immediately laughed. This was the effect he wanted. This time, Yun Feng did not hold back, but instead concentrated his soul power, gathered it in the desert eagle, and aimed at the only 5 remaining legs of the human-faced demon spider above his head. He fired 5 shots in a row. Bang 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 bang. After a series of muffled thunder, Yun Feng did not use his 4th soul skill, but directly used Yin's soul bone to fly. Looking at the shadow above his head falling, Yun Feng dodged to the side again. Boom. Chapter 118 Absorption Beyond Common Sense. The huge body of the human-faced demon spider smashed directly to the ground. It struggled to stand up, but at this time, the human-faced demon spider, which had broken all its legs, was like a huge meatball, completely without any danger. The spider webs were all consumed. Yun Feng looked at the prey below, and his heart was in a trance. Is this the human-faced demon spider? At this time, the human-faced demon spider looked at Yun Feng, who was slowly landing in front of it, and its compound eyes were full of resentment. It opened its huge mouth and wanted to eat Yun Feng in front of it, but how could Yun Feng do as it wished? Always keep a very safe distance. Although it is stable now, Yun Feng still doesn't want to take risks. With a thought, dozens of giant blue silver kings directly wrapped around the body of the human-faced demon spider, and then hung it in the air. He kept whipping it with the giant whip, and laughed while whipping. After seeing this scene, Yin couldn't help but transform directly, and the ring on her hand suddenly turned into a big sister with a very gentle temperament and a plump figure. After seeing Yun Feng hesitate for a while, he still didn't say anything. After all, the human-faced demon spider is not a good thing in the world of soul beasts. The reason why Yin appeared is just because of her personality. After seeing Yin, Yun Feng did not say anything. He just continued his operation, although he looked like a madman. But these were all performed by Yun Feng, just to increase the output rate of soul bones of the human-faced demon spider. At this time, Yun Feng was much more cruel than Tang San in the original timeline. After all, Tang San did not abuse, and Yun Feng, purple light and blue liquid continued to fall from the body of the human-faced demon spider, corroding the ground into large holes. Weak plants were corroded instantly. After Yun Feng continued to whip for half an hour, he looked at the human-faced demon spider that was hanging in the air at this time. The force of the tumbling became smaller and smaller, and the carapace on its body was covered with a layer of blue-purple brilliance. Purple-black liquid continued to flow out from the wounds at its 8 eyes, and it was obvious that it was dead. Yun Feng knew that the purpose of his trip had almost been achieved. The life of the human-faced demon spider gradually passed away, and dots of blue-purple light began to condense above its body. Yun Feng simply took a look at it and ignored it. Instead, he turned to Yin and said, "Can you absorb the power of this soul ring and feed it back to me?" After coming out, Yin had been squatting on the ground, lowering her head to communicate with the blue-silver grass on the ground. After hearing what Yun Feng said, her face was instantly filled with black lines. Is she a plant-type soul beast? Even if it transforms again, it is not a human body at this time. How to absorb it, and how to feed it back? After seeing Yin's expression, Yun Feng knew that he was a little whimsical. However, for the sake of his external soul bone, Yun Feng still made an extremely risky move. That is to sit cross-legged, pull the soul ring, and come to the top of his head. When Yin saw this, he was dumbfounded. "What is this trying to do?" But before Yin could dissuade him, Yun Feng had already started to absorb it. Just when Yin was extremely anxious, he saw that Yun Feng seemed to be just peeling off the soul on the soul ring. How did he do this? But now Yin couldn't think about so many things. After all, Yun Feng is now dancing on the edge of a knife. If he is not careful, he will fall into the abyss. Extremely dangerous. Extract the remaining soul of the soul beast on the soul ring and remove the soul power. The basis of all this is built on Yun Feng's body. Yun Feng must use his body to filter out the excess soul power, otherwise the soul power will continue to stimulate collisions in Yun Feng's body. Finally, he exploded and died. When Yin saw this, he naturally didn't want Yun Feng to get into trouble. No matter what the purpose is, it's the same. After pursing her red lips several times, a few traces of shame and anger flashed in her eyes. In the end, she gritted her silver teeth and slowly came to Yun Feng's side. Looking at the blood that kept overflowing from Yun Feng's body because of filtering soul power, Yin still slowly took off the veil on her body. Slowly stick to it. Yun Feng, who was absorbing, actually regretted it the moment he made this move. But it has already started, and now he can't stop even if he wants to. Just when he was about to give up, he suddenly felt a burst of warmth and softness coming from behind. Through these two soft groups, Yun Feng felt the life energy coming from behind his body, and he felt much better. His state quickly adjusted. Without caring about feeling the softness, Yun Feng directly absorbed the life energy from Yin's body. He quickly stabilized the injuries on his body. As time went by, Yun Feng quickly felt the body repairing, but as his body heated up, Yun Feng soon felt changes behind his spine. An unknown mental shock constantly attacked Yun Feng's sea of consciousness, and this mental power was the human-faced demon spider. But Yun Feng was not afraid of the remaining will of the human-faced demon spider. After all, Yun's will was also in his sea of consciousness. Sure enough, after several attacks by the human-faced demon spider, it was instantly eroded by Yun Feng. At this time, Yun Feng was completely shrouded in a layer of light red mist. The red in the mist was not the light of soul power, but Yun Feng's blood. Not long ago, with the violent fluctuations of soul power on his body, Yun Feng's skin began to overflow with a layer of fine blood beads, and as the soul power evaporated into the air, it turned into this light red mist. Yun Feng frowned, his lips pursed tightly, his body was constantly twitching, and with the blood beads oozing out from under his skin, one can imagine how severe the pain he was in. In the mist, the crackling sound of bones could be heard from time to time, and each time it brought a thrilling feeling to the people around. However, the third soul ring that should have appeared with the absorption never appeared. This proved that Yun Feng had not yet completely absorbed the soul ring of the human-faced demon spider. However, the situation soon eased. Yun also noticed this, and when he saw Yun Feng's relaxed brows, he suddenly frowned and screamed. He was sitting cross-legged, and his body twitched violently. His chest suddenly straightened up, and his entire upper body arched up, looking terrifying. Yun Feng! Yun screamed, and the nails of his tightly clenched fists had already pierced into his palms without him realizing it. Just as Yun was surprised, suddenly, the sound of breaking brocade sounded. The clothes on Yun Feng's back suddenly tore apart. Yun, who was standing behind him, clearly saw 4 fist-sized bulges on both sides of Yun Feng's spine. What was this? Yun watched the changes on Yun Feng's back. Yun Feng seemed to be in great pain. Fine blood beads began to emerge from his skin, and his whole body was convulsing violently. Chapter 119 The 8 spider lance changes hands. Then, the 8 protrusions suddenly burst. Strangely, the skin on Yun Feng's back did not curl up. 8 fist-thick, dark purple objects emerged from the 8 protrusions and grew wildly at an astonishing speed. When the 8 protrusions burst and grew dark purple objects, Yun Feng seemed to relax. His face looked much more relaxed, but his body continued to twitch. Under Yun's astonished gaze, the dark purple object had grown more than 1 meter long in the blink of an eye, and it was still extending at an astonishing speed. When it was more than 1.5 meters long, it paused slightly, and something like a joint grew at the end. When the dark purple extended again, it extended from the joint in another direction. This is, the 8 purple-black objects grew for more than 3 meters before they stopped. They were bright purple and looked extremely shiny. The thickest part was near Yun Feng's back, and gradually became thinner as they extended outwards. At the end, they had become as sharp as a cone. Isn't this the spider leg of the human-faced demon spider? Looking at Yun Feng and then at the corpse of the human-faced demon spider on the other side, Yun was surprised to find that the object growing from Yun Feng's back was very similar to the spider leg of the human-faced demon spider, but it was thinner overall, but it looked more shiny, and even had a faint sweet fragrance. Although Yun was a soul beast, she had seen many soul masters absorb soul rings, but this was the first time she had seen such a scene in her life, and she couldn't help but lose her ability to judge for a moment. What on earth was Yun Feng thinking about? The strange things were not over yet. When the 8 spider legs stretched out behind Yun Feng, they began to move slightly. The 4 spider legs below slowly inserted into the ground, and actually lifted up Yun Feng's body, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, and sent him into the air. At this time, Yun Feng looked like he had 8 arms that were 3 meters long, which looked extremely strange. Yun Feng's body finally stopped twitching. His clothes were all torn. Gradually, the blue-silver king that had stretched out before slowly rolled back and wrapped his body in the opposite direction, like a big cocoon wrapped inside. Only the spider legs outside were moving slowly. Yun didn't understand why it turned out like this, but for her, all she could do now was to wait. Indistinctly, she could only hear the sound of bones crackling in the cocoon. As for what happened to Yun Feng, no one could tell. There was even a hint of speculation in her heart. Will Yun Feng become a big spider? After thinking of this, Yun shook her head quickly again. It was not realistic. After all, Yun Feng now has his own blood in his body. With a soul beast of the level of the human-faced demon spider, it would not change Yun Feng's blood. But why would this happen? Yun was puzzled, but using her mental power to observe, she found that although Yun Feng's body had some changes, but it didn't do him much harm. On the contrary, it was even strengthening his body. It was this shining spider leg that looked very strange. Time passed by minute, and while Yun was waiting outside, she was always paying attention to the movements around the place. After all, she didn't have much strength now. Naturally, she had to be careful. But soon, Yun Feng showed some changes. Perhaps because he absorbed Yun's life energy, Yun Feng absorbed it very quickly, until a low moan woke Yun, who was already somewhat alert. She looked up quickly. The slender blue silver king slowly untied, stretched out one by one, and gradually revealed the owner inside. Yun Feng's body was covered with a layer of brown and black things. As the blue silver king spread out, these brown and black objects gradually peeled off from his body like falling fruit shells, revealing the body inside. When Yun saw Yun Feng's body again, her pretty face couldn't help but blush with shame. Yun Feng was naked at this time, and his whole body was completely naked. The muscles on his body became extremely obvious. Although they were not exaggerated bulges, they looked full of strength. There was a faint purple halo under his white skin, and the whole person was suspended in the air. The legs that were previously cross-legged had been stretched out, and the 5 limbs drooped naturally. The whole person looked full of a kind of evil feeling. In the messy black hair, there was a very obvious purple, which seemed to emit luster, allowing Yun to see it very clearly. The previous groan came from Yun Feng's mouth. At this time, his eyes were slowly opening, and his eyes were full of excitement. Yun Feng actually didn't know how long it had been. He just felt that he had been enduring and bearing an extreme pain. When the extremely intense pain suddenly disappeared, an indescribable comfort instantly spread throughout his body. The pain was bearable. When the comfort after the extreme pain came, Yun Feng finally fell into a deep sleep. When he regained consciousness again, it was the scene that Yun had just seen. The eyes were hazy, as if covered by a layer of white gauze. Various feelings gradually returned to the body. As the consciousness gradually became clear, the scenery in front of Yun Feng gradually became clear. The body was indescribably comfortable, as if every cell in the body was cheering and jumping for joy. Only a little itchy on the back, as if something was extending from the back. He could feel the moisture of the soil and the breeze of the surrounding air, but Yun Feng vaguely realized that something seemed to have changed. He knew that he had succeeded. He successfully absorbed the 8 spider lance. Thinking of this, Yun Feng subconsciously moved. The 8 spider legs behind him were raised at the same time. Although it looked weird, it did not affect Yun Feng's actions. At this time, Yun looked at the changes in Yun Feng's body, and there was a little more understanding in her eyes. She knew why Yun Feng had tortured the human-faced spider before. Combined with what Yun Feng said before, he was reborn. Yun had guessed it almost right. This should be an opportunity to intercept others. That's why he made such a big fuss to do all this. After experiencing it for a while, Yun Feng also noticed the person in front of him. With a thought, he directly took back the 8 spider lance behind him. Looking at Yun, he asked directly, Yun, how long have I been absorbing it? Yun thought for a moment and answered directly, not long, not even half an hour. Yun Feng looked at Yun's hesitant look and knew what she wanted to ask. After repeating what he had thought of long ago, Yun nodded. It seemed that his guess was not wrong. Chapter 120 A Far-Fetched Reason. Yun Feng did not talk too much with Yun on this topic, but said to Yun, "Thank you just now, Yun." Yun Feng's words were sincere and full of gratitude. After all, if it weren't for Yun, he would have taken such a risky action just now. He might have died there. The reason why he did that before was actually relying on the knowledge of soul beasts in his mind, thinking that as long as he was careful enough, nothing would happen. Who knew such a change would happen? This made Yun Feng extremely helpless. But now it's good. What he wanted to do was done. Now he should return to the original place. But he had to think of an excuse. After telling Yun his thoughts, Yin also turned into a blue-gold light again, returned to Yun Feng's hand, and turned into a ring. After looking at the surrounding environment, Yun Feng quickly followed Yin's instructions and quickly returned to the original place. Looking at Meng Yun, Ning Rong, and Zhu Zuqing, who were still unconscious on the ground, Yun Feng didn't think much, but just glanced at the soul beast in the dark with the corner of his eye. Then he slowly walked in front of the three women and called them softly. Soon, Yun Feng called the three women together. After a brief moment of confusion, the three women's eyes suddenly showed fear. They looked around the surrounding environment and were relieved when they saw that the behemoth was gone. But then came the smile of surviving a disaster. Only the careful Zhu Zuqing found something wrong. Looking at Yun Feng's face, he asked directly, "Yun Feng, where is Zhao Wu? Where did Zhao Wu go?" After saying this, Ning Rong's smile froze. Yes, where is Zhao Wu? Although Yun Feng knew, how could he say it directly now? Meng Yun also realized that something was wrong and turned his attention to Yun Feng. Facing the gazes of the women, Yun Feng pondered for a while and said directly, "I don't know either. After I woke up, I didn't see Zhao Wu. For this reason, I searched for a long time around here, but I still can't find any trace of Zhao Wu." As soon as these words came out, even if the women were dumb, they could understand what it meant. After all, this was taken away by the king of the forest, the Titan giant ape. You don't have to think about what happened. For a moment, the atmosphere suddenly became heavy. A living life just disappeared in front of them. No one would feel good. After all, they are friends. Although they didn't spend much time together, but, just when they were sad, they suddenly heard a rustling sound coming from the woods beside them. Without time to think about it, they were instantly alert and summoned their martial arts spirits directly. "Be ready." But just when Zhu Zuqing and the others were ready, a call suddenly came. "Yun Feng, Rong, Zuqing, where are you?" After hearing this voice, several people looked at each other and saw each other's shock. Something is wrong. Zhao Wu was captured by the Titan giant ape, but she was able to come back. Was she also abandoned outside? Only Zhu Zuqing thought about it, shook her head, and decided to see the situation first. After all, there are soul beasts that confuse people's minds. Use that kind of disguised voice to lure prey into being fooled. After seeing Zhu Zuqing like this, Yun Feng's mouth corners also showed a slight arc. No wonder he can live so long. It seems that it is inseparable from Zhu Zuqing's personality. However, Yun Feng is now relaxed, because after Yin's perception just now, it is confirmed that the person in front is Zhao Wu. But Yun Feng still didn't speak. After all, it is better not to say some things. Although the character of these people in front of him is still good, but just in case. Sure enough, under the gaze of everyone, Zhao Wu quickly walked out of the forest. The moment he saw Yun Feng and others, he smiled. Zhu Zuqing, Ning Rong and Meng Yun also relaxed a lot. At least so far, they have not heard of soul beasts that can disguise themselves as human forms. "Zhao Wu, why are you alone outside?" Yun Feng just said that he looked for you for a long time and couldn't find you. Zhao Wu glanced at Yun Feng and then slowly answered Ning Rong. "It's like this. After I woke up, I didn't find anyone inside. At first I thought you had met with an accident, but later I thought that if I could survive, you would definitely be able to survive. So I followed the route in my memory and slowly groped my way here. Fortunately, I found you. Otherwise I don't know what to do." Yun Feng almost laughed after hearing this. This explanation is a bit far-fetched. It's not right to just talk about it. But the girls now don't care about this. As long as the person comes back. Yun Feng also subconsciously shook his head and directly shook off this idea. What we have to do now is to return to Zhao Wuji and others safely. After all, this is the Xingdu Great Forest, not an ordinary place. Even if Zhao Wu and Yin were here, it wouldn't work. Be careful. On the other side, Zhao Wuji and others, as well as Meng Shu and Zhao Tangxian, were already looking for him like crazy. This wasn't the most annoying thing for Zhao Wuji. The most annoying thing was that even Tang San went out alone, acting alone. You can imagine how irritable Zhao Wuji was now. Fortunately, Tang San only had so much soul power, and he found him quickly. But when he found Tang San almost died. A great soul master was running around in the starred great forest without knowing the height of the world. This wasn't looking for death. What was this? Tang San, who had learned a lesson this time, also understood it instantly. Life is important. After seeing Tang San being honest, Dao Wuji took Oscar, Tang San and others to hunt souls while searching. After all, at this time, more power means more safety. The soul beast Oscar absorbed was a small bird soul beast that had just been 1,000 years old. The soul skills he got were also different from those in the original timeline. If the previous one was flying, the current one is galloping. Of course, it can also be called rapid. It can temporarily increase its own speed and has good explosive power. Although it is not as suitable as the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake, it is also a good choice. The soul beast hunted by Tang San was not the human-faced demon spider, but the crypt demon spider. It has been more than 1,100 years old. Dao Wuji didn't understand why Tang San chose this soul beast. Just when he was about to dissuade him, he heard that this was the theory of his teacher, Master Yao Gang. Dao Wuji was frightened by Tang San and subconsciously agreed to Tang San's request. In fact, Dao Wuji is not without selfishness. After all, he suffered a big loss last time. Chapter 121 Tang San's External Soul Bone? Although it is not possible to retaliate openly, it is still relatively easy to give Tang San a little hardship in secret. However, this time it was not Dao Wuji's intention. It was just that he really didn't know what kind of improvement the soul beast in front of him would bring to Tang San. After all, he had never studied martial spirits in depth. Even the knowledge of soul beasts was only half understood. And the reason why Tang San chose this soul beast was also very simple. That is the principle of proximity. It is also suitable for his martial spirit. Although it is not so good, it is not bad. If you can't find a suitable soul beast, this is the best. And it can also strengthen the toxins and toughness of your blue-silver grass martial spirit. However, perhaps it was because he was injured by the residual power of the Titan Giant Ape, or perhaps he was in a hurry and consumed too much soul power. Of course, the most important thing was that Tang San ran out alone and faced the soul beast attack alone. It almost took his life, so it was extremely difficult to absorb it. When Tang San absorbed the soul ring, Feng also found Dao Wuji and others through Yin's perception. He even found the snake woman and dragon man who were outside. Perhaps out of curiosity, Feng immediately came to Tang San's direction and did not look for the dragon man and the snake woman. He watched the energy fluctuations around Tang San constantly increase. Feng thought to himself that it was unfair. Even with such a serious injury, he could still forcefully absorb the spirit ring. It was really too much. Feng was so angry that he picked up the kettle and drank a few big gulps. After feeling the speed of the spirit power in his body running faster, he was satisfied. If I can't beat him, I'll cheat. But at this moment, Feng, who had just finished drinking water, saw that blood was constantly flowing out of Tang San's wound, and a layer of blood mist began to spread around him. He immediately felt something was wrong. It was not because of anything else. But what was going on with this familiar energy fluctuation? Didn't he already intercept Tang San's 8 spider lance? Now, But unlike Feng, Dao Wuji even thought in his heart after seeing Tang San like this. Could it be that he can't absorb it? It's only been 1,000 years. If something happened to Tang San in his hands, he couldn't guarantee that the Hashinbuo wouldn't come to trouble him. When Dao Wuji was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot, suddenly, a group of light footsteps caught Dao Wuji's attention. Dao Wuji looked in one direction with cold eyes, and his soul power suddenly gathered. At this time, Tang San had reached the most critical moment. He would never allow anyone or soul beast to disturb him, otherwise, he would be the one who suffered. Teacher Zhao, a tall figure, followed by 4 people, walked out of the woods directly. Seeing them, not only Dao Wuji was stunned, but others couldn't help but be stunned. It turned out that Feng and others suddenly walked out of the woods. At this time, Feng and others looked a little embarrassed. Their clothes were damaged in many places, and their hair became messy. but they seemed to be more mature than before. "You are not dead?" Oscar subconsciously exclaimed. Ning Rong became unhappy instantly after hearing this. "What is this? What's wrong with you? You're happy when we die, right? What's your intention?" Oscar smiled and shook his head when he saw Ning Rong like this. "I'm just shocked. I don't mean anything else. I'm so happy that you guys can come back." At this time, Dao Wuji reacted and took out the flare from the soul guide without any hesitation. This was discussed with Long Gong and Chipo before. As long as he found someone, he would just fire the flare. After all, the starred Great Forest is too dangerous. It's better to call everyone over and go out together. This is the kingly way. After all, there may be soul beasts of the level of Titan Giant Ape in the periphery. What else can't be done? The flare flashed red light and flew directly into the sky, then exploded in the sky and lasted for a long time. After doing all this, Dao Wuji also breathed a sigh of relief. This trip to the starred Great Forest is really magical. It feels like a dream. It's more exciting than the time when he was wanted by the spirit hall. Yun Feng ignored these things, but stared at where Tang San was. He could feel a soul power fluctuation from Tang San that was very similar to the one he had absorbed from the 8 spider lances. If nothing unexpected happened, Tang San should have very likely gotten another opportunity. Yun also noticed the changes in Tang San at this time, and directly said to Yun Feng in the Sea of Consciousness, "Yun Feng, should we interrupt Tang San?" When these words came out, they were full of determination. After all, after knowing that Tang San was not her son, Yun's attitude completely changed. After Yun Feng comforted Yun in his heart, he asked Dao Wuji directly, "Teacher Zhao, what happened to Tang San?" Dao Wuji was in a good mood at this time. After all, he had found the person and nothing happened, so he answered directly, "He was lucky. When he was looking for you, he encountered a third spirit ring that suited him, and he started to absorb it directly. However, he was injured when he was looking for you before, so it is not very smooth to absorb it now." Yun Feng followed Dao Wuji's eyes and looked at the ground. It was a yellowish-brown spider, which had completely lost its vitality and was lying on the ground. Perhaps he noticed the voices of Yun Feng and Zhao Wu, and Tang San's body trembled, and even the speed of absorbing spirit rings increased a lot. Just when Tang San was about to succeed, Yun Feng could even see 6 eye-like marks appearing on Tang San's eyebrows. Yun Feng, who felt something was wrong, was about to do something. But at this moment, 2 figures suddenly rushed out from behind the ancient tree and hit the tree, knocking Tang San's external spirit bone that was about to take shape and dissipating part of it, including the original eyes. There should have been 8 eyes, but now 2 of them disappeared, not forming, and completely closed. Yiran, are you okay?" The people who came were Long Gong and Chipo. When they saw the signal flare, they rushed over here without stopping. There was no pause along the way, so this scene happened. Tang San was interrupted at the critical moment, and a mouthful of blood gushed out immediately. Although the soul ring had been absorbed, the damage on the body could not be restored. Chapter 122 Compound Eyes. Out of the forest, Tang San was extremely angry. Who ruined his chance? 3 pairs of eyes opened at the same time, emitting a vast purple, staring ahead. But when he saw the person coming, he was silent. During this period of time, he had clearly known the gap between him and those top spirit masters. This could not be made up by hidden weapons, at least for now, so he almost forcibly suppressed his inner impulse, forced to divert his gaze. But when he saw Yun Feng and Zhao Wu, Tang San's eyes suddenly turned red, and the crystals kept flashing, as if they would drip down in the next second. He rushed directly to Yun Feng and Zhao Wu. He opened his arms and wanted to hug, but after seeing Tang San like this, everyone couldn't help but take a step back. How to say it? It's really too disgusting. The compound eyes of a spider grew on the forehead of a human, and it was the eyes of a crypt spider. No matter how you look at it, it's disgusting. After seeing this, Tang San couldn't help but slow down his pace until he stopped completely. Looking at the people in front of him, Tang San's 6 eyes can see clearly his fear. But what can he do? He doesn't know why. He thought it was normal for his vision to become wider after absorbing the martial spirit. Now it seems that something is wrong. After thinking of this, Tang San hurriedly took out a small mirror from his storage soul guide, 24 Bridges Moonlight Night. After looking at his face reflected on the mirror, Tang San almost died of fright. What kind of monster is this? He was ugly to begin with, and now he has become a weird species. Tang San couldn't accept it, and all the joy he had just felt disappeared. Why did he become like this? Yao Gang didn't teach him. He didn't know what to do in an instant, and thought he had mutated, but he seemed to have only absorbed a spirit ring. Is there such a side effect? Tang San wanted to cry. Can Zhao Wu still accept him like this? After gaining power, he is now full of emptiness. Yun Feng glanced at Tang San, and his heart was extremely uncomfortable. It's not because of anything else. I have planned so much. I can even say that I risked my life to intercept. And now this is it? There is a gift in the dark? Is this the son of destiny? Yun Feng was really dumbfounded. You can't play it like this. Could it be that my guess is really right? Someone up there has been watching what's happening below? That's why this is happening now? Dao Wuji also found that something was wrong with Tang San at this time, but after seeing that Tang San didn't seem to have any other abnormalities on the surface, he still put his hanging heart down a little. He said directly, since the person is fine, let's ask other people after we go back to see what's going on. After Tang San glanced at Zhao Wu and Yun Feng, he nodded. Dragon Lord Meng Shu and Snake Lady Zhao Tanxian were naturally very happy to see their granddaughter who had been lost and found. Anyway, the purpose of this trip has been achieved. Naturally, they don't want to stay in this Zhengdu Great Forest any longer. After thinking for a moment, he nodded decisively. It's been so long since I came out. It's time to go back. But before that, Meng Shu still briefly asked his granddaughter, Yi Ran, how did you escape? This sentence also instantly attracted the attention of others. After all, it was incredible that she could still run away after being captured by the Titan giant ape. So they all wanted to know what happened. But under the gaze of everyone, Meng Yi Ran just shook his head blankly. After we were captured by the Titan giant ape, we ran for an unknown period of time, and then we were directly knocked unconscious by the Titan giant ape's roar. Yun Feng and Zhao Wu should be the first to wake up. You can ask them if you want to know. After Zhao Wu heard this, of course, it was impossible to tell everyone that it was because the Titan giant ape Meng felt her breath and came to take her away. Before coming back, Zhao Wu naturally thought of an excuse. Actually, I don't know too much. When I woke up, there was no one around. I fell alone in another area and reunited later. After Zhao Wu finished speaking, she didn't continue. Everyone looked at Yun Feng. Yun Feng also spread his hands and shook his head. I don't know either. The Titan ape is so powerful. I can't think of any other reason except to abandon us. After all, we are not worth mentioning in its eyes. Yun Feng's words are reasonable. If you think about it carefully, it is impossible. After all, who is that Titan ape? After thinking about it, the snake woman Zhao Tanxian looked at the sky and said directly, okay, let's talk about it later. The Zhengdu Great Forest is not very safe. Don't think about anything. Let's talk about it after we go back. As for Meng Shu, his mood is very good now. He almost thought that he would have no descendants. Now that he is back, he has never stopped smiling. Dao Wuji is actually the same. This time, the academy has added 2 more soul masters, which is really great. Yun Feng also smiled and said, to celebrate this time of peace, I will treat you after we go out. After hearing Yun Feng's words, everyone cheered in unison. After several dangerous situations, everything has been resolved and they can finally go back. Moreover, after this trip to the starred Great Forest, whether they had obtained spirit rings or were running with them, the only thought now was to return to the academy and have a good meal. After all, you can't make a fire in the starred Great Forest. You have been eating dry food for a long time and you are already tired of it. Then, after eating and drinking enough, you can lie down on the bed and have a good sleep. On the way back, because Zhao Wuji and Meng Shu had opened their spirit bodies before, it had not been long, so their strength was only 50% of the best state. Therefore, when everyone evacuated the starred Great Forest, they were still very careful. They were afraid of any special accidents. However, the return time was much faster than the return time, and since it was the periphery, The group did not spend too much energy and walked out of the starred great forest directly. After leaving the forest, although there was no fresh air, everyone felt like a layer of stone had been removed, and they were extremely relaxed. Mengshu smiled and said, "We can go to the town to rest." After walking a little further, the rest of the people couldn't help but sigh. It was so cool to have survived a disaster. Dao Wuji nodded. "If everyone is fine, hurry up." Yun Feng promised to buy everyone a drink. Obviously, Dao Wuji was completely relaxed at this time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Tang San with low self-esteem. What bullshit school rules? He is the vice president. This time he has worked so hard. If he doesn't have a good meal, he will feel sorry for himself. What kind of person is Dao Wuji? He does whatever he wants. Yun Feng also smiled and said, "Of course, drink as much as you want. All expenses are on me." "Okay, you kid didn't realize you are so rich. I can drink a lot. Be prepared to bleed." Yun Feng smiled indifferently, not to mention one Dao Wuji. Even if there are 100 of them, they can't make him poor. The spirit hall sends money every month. What is he afraid of? Teacher Zhao, haven't you heard a saying? Things that can be solved with money are not a problem. After this, everyone laughed. Of course, except Tang San, everyone else laughed. After all, such a thing happened. Tang San couldn't laugh no matter how he thought about it. It was too uncomfortable. But Tang San's condition alone could not affect everyone. The group rested in the town for 2 whole days. Soul power and physical strength naturally don't need to be restored for that long, but the tense spirit does need to relax. Yun Feng was not stingy, and generously covered all the expenses for the 2 days. Everyone didn't practice, but drank and played together every day, which was indescribably happy. Juzuking, who was always cold, softened her expression. Even Juzuking herself didn't expect that she would have a friend one day. Yun Feng saw something, but it was a good thing for Juzuking, so Yun Feng didn't care. 2 days later, it was time for everyone to say goodbye. Mengren didn't know why she suddenly felt a little reluctant. Looking at Yun Feng's appearance, since the last time Grandpa and Grandma said those words, Mengren had been paying attention to Yun Feng intentionally or unintentionally. Even that picture was full of his mind. Seeing that Yun Feng had such a good relationship with everyone, he would sometimes envy him. Although he was not without friends, he always felt that those friends were just superficial. Moreover, after seeing the strength and talent of Yun Feng and others, even if Mengren didn't want to admit it, this was the fact. If she didn't make any changes, she might not even be qualified to see his back in the future. After taking a deep breath, after her grandparents said goodbye to everyone, Mengren didn't hesitate and went forward directly. Mengshu and Zhao Tangxian looked at each other and said with a smile, "Yun, we are about to leave. Do you want to say something?" Mengren bit her teeth lightly and looked at her grandparents and the people around her. Then she nodded very seriously, her eyes locked directly on Yun Feng. "I want to talk to you alone." "Okay." After hearing this, Dao Wu's body stiffened immediately, and even Ning Rong's heart beat a few times, obviously guessing something. After the 2 girls looked at each other, they still pretended to be indifferent and said directly, "You guys talk. We'll go over there and wait." This sounded generous, without any thoughts, but combined with Dao Wu's tone, the meaning was completely changed. The whole air was filled with a sour taste. I don't know whose jealousy is overturned. Tang San also saw this scene, but what can he say? Now Tang San has a piece of black cloth tied on his forehead, which completely covers his compound eyes. He just doesn't want others to see him like this. He even has a strong inferiority complex in his heart. He seems to be unworthy of standing next to the beautiful girl. Now Tang San even has an idea. In fact, as long as Yun Feng treats Dao Wu well, it's not impossible. But looking at so many girls around Yun Feng, Tang San thought for a long time and decided to take a look. After all, it's not Yun Feng's fault to have such a face, but it's Yun Feng's fault to attract so many girls. But seeing Dao Wu left by herself, Tang San didn't say anything, and Zhu Zuqing would say even less. Yun Feng is her lifesaver, so she doesn't need her opinion on anything. And Zhu Zuqing still trusts Yun Feng. At least he didn't have any bad intentions when saving her. Although she was not a self-righteous person, this undoubtedly increased her favorability, and the same was true for the series of things that followed. Zhao Wuji was naturally not interested in these things. What was good about the whispers between the juniors? Even if Yun Feng was so powerful, it was the same. So Oscar and Dima Bai, who were still wanting to gossip, walked a little forward. After all, the face of the dragon man and the snake woman should be given a little. However, compared with Ma Hongjun and Dima Bai, Oscar's mind was obviously more. After all, he was not useless now. Since he met Ning Rong, he was full of interest in this young lady. After all, Ning Rong looked sweet, although she was only 12 years old. She was a rare beauty. In the past few days, he was very attentive, but Ning Rong refused without hesitation. Oscar had no choice but to turn around and start targeting Mengren. After all, although Mengren's talent was not as good as others, her grandfather and grandmother were also rare strong people in the Soul Master world. If he could hold a thigh, he would be much easier in the future. Oscar was older after all, so he naturally had a lot more things to think about. He even considered what would happen after graduation. After graduation, he naturally didn't want to stay in Shrek Academy, and wanted to go out. And if he did that, how could he get his spirit ring in the future? So he set his sights on Mengren. But after seeing Mengren's expression at this moment, how could he not know what was going on? A red man is red when he is near a red man, and a black man is black when he is near a black man. After hanging out with Dima Bai and Ma Hongjun for a long time, he naturally knew everything about the things between men and women. After all, there is a saying that goes, people with unhealthy hearts see everything as pornographic, and naturally they will involuntarily associate it with some unhealthy aspects. Thinking of the fact that Mengren had robbed his spirit ring before, he felt a little dissatisfied in his heart, and muttered in a low voice, "What's the matter? Why do you have to be so mysterious?" After hearing this, Tang San immediately looked at Oscar coldly. After all, in his eyes, Yun Feng was his good brother. Saying such things behind his good brother's back seemed to be a lesson he had not learned enough. Even if Yun Feng really made a mistake, it was not for others to judge. After Oscar met Tang San's eyes, he was frightened and dared not speak. Like a quail, he hurriedly followed Zhao Wuji. Chapter 124. A girl's feelings are always wet. Moreover, Tang San has understood the personalities of these people in Shrek very thoroughly during this period. He doesn't care about others, but he can't accept Zhao Wu and Yun Feng's words at all. Even though he likes Zhao Wu doesn't like him, but likes Yun Feng. But Tang San has always believed that he must be the one who can finally hold a beauty. Yun Feng saw that most people had left at this time, and he looked at Mengren a little confused. Thinking back to this period of time, except for being abducted by the Titan giant ape, there seemed to be no intersection between them. Why did Mengren come to him alone? Could it be that he really liked his face? Although Yun Feng asked himself that he was also very handsome, it had not reached that level yet. Yun Feng, who couldn't figure out a reason, asked directly, "Miss Yun, may I ask what you want to do when you come to me alone?" Mengren looked at the blue-haired and black-eyed boy in front of her, and her face immediately began to heat up. In fact, she didn't know what she wanted to do by calling Yun Feng. It was just a subconscious action. After hesitating for a long time, she said directly to Yun Feng, "I want to be friends with you, so I want to get to know you formally." When Yun Feng heard this, how could he not understand the girl's thoughts in front of him? It would be a lie to say that he was not moved. After all, the boy had never had a harem dream in his heart. However, with the changes and occurrences of some things, these ideas were finally dispersed. Although Mengren's dress was a little unsatisfactory, she was still pretty after removing her makeup, but Yun Feng was still a little uncomfortable. After all, he had not confirmed his relationship with any girl. After thinking about it, Yun Feng smiled and said, "Of course, I think we have been friends for a long time, right?" After hearing this, Mengren's eyes immediately emitted a bright light and smiled. "That's right, We have been friends for a long time. When we meet again in the future, don't pretend not to know me, otherwise I will be very sad." After hearing this, Yun Feng laughed dumbly, and then nodded directly. He also thought it through. "Let's talk about the future later. Why make a decision now? If you are here, make the best of it. Don't take the initiative, don't refuse, but be responsible." This is Yun Feng's principle. This is not the monogamy of the previous life. Why bother to abide by these things? Just be happy. "Okay, when we meet again, I won't pretend not to know you. Don't worry." After listening to Yun Feng, Mengren smiled, looked around, and saw that everyone else's eyes were looking at her intentionally or unintentionally. Her face immediately blushed. She left Yun Feng's side and ran to her grandparents. Following the direction Mengren ran away, Yun Feng also looked at Mengshu and Zhao Tangxian, smiled and nodded. Although he would not agree to join their family, Yun Feng still had a lot of good feelings for them. Watching the three disappear in the sun, Yun Feng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Girls' feelings are always wet. Seeing that Yun Feng's affairs seemed to have been resolved, Ning Rongrong and Zhao Wu could no longer control themselves and came to Yun Feng's side. Ning Rongrong even joked with a hint of jealousy. Of course, Yun Feng has only been around for a short time, and he has messed with such a beautiful girl again. Aren't you afraid that Zhao Wu will be jealous? Ning Rongrong's words successfully removed herself from the situation and also expressed her dissatisfaction. After hearing this, Zhao Wu didn't know what to say. Seeing that everyone's eyes were on her, her face became red with shame. "Ah, Rongrong, what are you talking about? I'll teach you a lesson." As she said this, she started to tickle him. Ning Rongrong also smiled and ran away. Yun Feng looked at the girl running and playing in the sun, and a slight arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. These are all brought by strength. He wanted to have such a scene in the future. In order to keep such a scene, he still had to work hard. Compared to the quarrel between Zhao Wu and Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zuqing stood beside Yun Feng and asked Yun Feng directly, "What did you talk about?" Yun Feng glanced at Zhu Zuqing. He didn't expect that Zhu Zuqing would care about such things, but after thinking about it, he shook his head and said, "Nothing. She just wants me to make a friend." Even if Yun Feng knew Mengren's feelings, before they were officially together, there were some things that could be said and some things that could not be said. Yun Feng still knew. He thought he was not a gentleman, but he was not the kind of person who would say these things behind his back, especially to a girl who had no hostility towards him. Zhu Zuqing also realized that he had said the wrong thing. After all, she called Yun Feng alone, so naturally she didn't want others to know. If she asked this question, wouldn't it embarrass Yun Feng? But Yun Feng didn't say anything, and he recognized Yun Feng's character even more. Yun Feng didn't think so much, but thought about the next step. After all, the next step was more difficult, and he didn't have as many methods as Tang San, especially in the knowledge of using poison and detoxification. Yun Feng's next plan was also very simple, that is, to enter the yin-yang eye of ice and fire before Tang San, and take away all the immortal grass. So many good things, leaving them to Tang San is still a bit of a waste. Although Tang San is not harmful to him now, just because he kidnapped Yin, they will be in a situation of life and death in the future. And he can't let a living person follow him in the form of a ring all the time. He will always have to face it in the future. Dandu Empire, Dandu City, Prince's Mansion. Ning Fengzi, who had finished teaching for a few days, looked at the disciples in front of him and was very satisfied. "King, with your current level, you can completely take over your father's government affairs." After hearing what Ning Fengzi said, Zuqing hurriedly said, "Teacher, don't flatter me. My father is in his prime. I still have to learn more from you about my inferior ability to govern the country." After hearing Zuqing's answer, the smile on Ning Fengzi's face became more cordial. Looking at Zuqing's appearance, he suddenly thought of something inside. "It would be great if Rong was as sensible as you." After hearing this, Zuqing explained, "Rong is still young, so she doesn't need to go through all this. When she grows up, she will understand it." Ning Fengzi felt a little relieved after hearing his students say this. Chapter 125 Flanders, where can I find a wife for you? After a quick look at the situation outside, he stood up and said to Zuqing slowly, "Today's class has ended here. You digest and understand it for a while, and I will come back later." Seeing Ning Fengzi was about to leave, Zhu King stood up immediately. "Teacher, wait a minute. King, is there anything you don't understand?" Ning Fengzi's eyes were extremely strange. Zhu King knew that Ning Fengzi had misunderstood, so he shook his head immediately, and then looked at Ning Fengzi and said directly, "Teacher, Rong ran away. I was very worried, so I sent someone to investigate. I found that Rong seemed to be very close to a teenager during this period." Ning Fengzi thought it was something. As a daughter slave, he certainly knew what kind of people Ning Rong had contacted during this period, so he also used their 7 treasures glazed tile sex intelligence network to investigate. "It doesn't matter if you don't investigate." This investigation instantly stunned Ning Fengzi. At the age of 12, a foreign soul master! What a terrible talent! Ning Fengzi naturally wanted to love talents. After all, whether recruiting him into the family or becoming Rong's husband in the future, he would be a good candidate. However, there was only one thing that he didn't understand. Logically speaking, there was no reason for the spirit hall to give up such a powerful seedling. How could it be allowed to develop outside? But the fact is that, except for some normal financial transactions, the spirit hall did not give this young man too much help. It was as if he was treated as an ordinary soul master. He didn't take it to heart at all, but it was precisely because of this operation of the spirit hall that Ning Fengzi had some doubts in his heart. After all, such a genius, who wouldn't be tempted? Obviously something was wrong, but now his daughter was there. Ning Fengzi chose to wait and see. This kind of thing can't be rushed, but Ning Fengzi still felt that there was a lot of room for operation. It can be invested. After all, even if the investment fails, it is not a big deal. Anyway, their 7 treasures glazed tile sect is rich. They are not afraid of such a small loss at all. Moreover, Ning Fengzi did not think that he would fail in his investment. After all, Feng could make so much money with his invention and even set up a profit-sharing system to pay the money, which showed that he was not an ordinary person. It was not a sudden flash of inspiration. It showed that his brain was really good. However, facing his student's suggestion, Ning Fengzi still smiled and replied, Rong has no friends because of her personality. It's nothing to make friends this time, just be careful. And when the time comes, I will go to see this boy in person. Seeing Ning Fengzi said so, Zhu King naturally smiled and nodded. It is an honor for the boy to get the teacher's attention. The student has also become a little curious. When the time comes, I will find an opportunity to meet this boy. After hearing this, Ning Fengzi nodded with satisfaction, his eyes full of admiration. After all, his disciple will be the monarch of the Dandu Empire in the future. It would be great if he could have the ability to judge people. After all, the current Dandu Empire is actually rotten to the core in some places. But Ning Fengzi couldn't say anything. After all, he was also a beneficiary. It's always good to make more friends. After all, there are more options in the future. Outside Shrek Academy, Tang Hao, who traveled day and night, has arrived here. Looking at this familiar place, his mind was full of doubts. How long has it been since he last came here? Why did such a big palace suddenly appear? And it was made entirely of blue-silver grass. After seeing this, Tang Hao felt more and more that this should be made by Yin. After all, in Tang Hao's cognition, no one has been able to play such a trick with blue-silver grass. And ordinary spirit masters, how can they have such control ability? So Tang Hao felt that Yin was definitely guarding Tang San in secret, but how to find her is a big problem. And he didn't know what Yin was doing. Was it because he had calculated her before? But he really regretted it later. Why did he treat him like this? When he thought of this, Tang Hao felt a sense of desolation in his heart. He didn't know what to do at all, and he didn't dare to look for her in a big way. After all, the detection ability of the blue-silver grass tribe is very strong. As long as he appears in this range, the surrounding blue-silver grass will immediately find him. As long as Yin wants to avoid him, Tang Hao doesn't think he can find him, so he is very helpless. But if he leaves like this, he will be very unwilling in his heart. After thinking about it, Tang Hao restrained his breath, and then put on another piece of clothing to cover his entire body. He went straight to Flanders's dean's office. After telling all his guesses, Flanders was dumbfounded, looking at Tang Hao who suddenly visited. His whole mind was confused. "Sir Hashan, you are not joking with me. Where can I find a wife for you?" Flanders' heart was full of horses. He knew what happened before. Among some powerful soul masters, Tang Hao's first wife was a soul beast, and she had died completely in the last battle. Sacrifice. That kind of most tragic way. "Now you say that your wife is hidden in our Shrek Academy." When Tang Hao said this, Flanders' heart trembled violently. If this word reached the ears of the spirit hall, his academy might not be able to continue. You know, this is their most promising class, the class with the most hope to win the Soul Master competition. He didn't want to waste it, so he immediately refuted Tang Hao's words. Tang Hao's eyes sank, and a few cold lights flashed in his eyes. "Then explain to me, what's going on with the huge palace that appeared in your dormitory area?" "As far as I know, none of these teachers in Shrek practice blue silver grass." Tang Hao's words were full of oppression. He didn't take Flanders seriously at all, and even looked like he would crush his head in the next second if Flanders said something he didn't know. Flanders looked at Tang Hao at this time, and wanted to say something, but he finally held it back. After a wry smile, he said directly, "It's like this, Lord Hashan. I did see that palace appear, but it was not built by your wife." "What?" End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.